I need to move. I can't be around this person. I don't want to be nowhere near this person. Amassing a large amount of wealth is about having your money work for you. Now, what they don't tell you when they say that is having your money works for you means having somebody else work for your money. Your money doesn't work for itself. If I invest in Apple, that means that Apple is working for me. That means that people that work for Apple are working for me. That means somebody on this ladder is working for me. Welcome to the Bamboo Project Podcast, where you can see how we are going to turn our life into a living. So that's the whole purpose of this podcast. You can follow me on Instagram at DonivanGray, DonivanGray, and the producer, Melissa Burn, my girlfriend, AnetaBurn. We have a food page where we have a vegan electric alkaline diet. We have a fitness page. We have, I know I said the V word. I know. I don't like saying vegan because I feel like it puts me in the category of people I don't really agree with, but it is the truth. But I don't like saying it, but I feel like maybe I should say it because people that want to eat that kind of food will look to the food that I eat. So that's why I said it. We have a clothing page. We have the podcast page. We also have, I'm going to run through all of them again so I can get them all done. It's about 6 pages. We have a music page, a food page, a fitness page, a sports page, a clothing page, and the podcast page. That's 6. All of the Instagrams will be in the description. Whether you're watching this on YouTube or listening to it on one of the major streaming platforms, you can find it in the description below. I'm doing free consultations for people. So that means if you have a topic you want to talk about that you think people don't understand, you have a situation where I feel like I'm selling and I don't want to be selling. That's why I don't really like that part of it. But I am doing free consultations. So if you have something you do want to talk about, or you have something that's going on in your life and you need an opinion on it, you have, my contact information if you DM me on my Instagram. So I'm gonna work on that a little bit better. But like I said, free consultations. This podcast and a lot of the other ones have been very long, so we have timestamps in the description so you can jump to where you want to watch or listen to if you don't want to hear the whole thing. We have a lot of different things we talk about in this podcast. So today is July 28th, Tuesday, and it's 2:53 p.m. People that know who have been here before, we are starting the podcast super late. Honestly, the last couple of weeks we've been very late, and I'm talking about like hours late. Like we started the podcast at 4 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 3:30. That's been happening mostly because the last couple of weeks have been really hectic. My bike hasn't been working. We got a cat. Just things have been kind of just not how they usually are. So the podcast has been starting later. On top of the fact that I haven't been at work, so I have less of an incentive to start on time because I don't have to worry about editing the podcast early, so I can get back to work by Wednesday and Thursday. So I'm kind of like, all right, we can shoot it whenever on Tuesday, and we get it done. So that's why we've been starting so much later with the podcast. And today I'm kind of excited for today's podcast because I am starting a new format for the podcast. I'm trying to make it so that it's more comprehensible to people and it's just easier to digest when you're listening to it. You kind of have a direction of where we're going for this podcast. So can you scroll down, Melissa? So today's podcast, some of the topics we're going to be talking about, or the main topics, are going to be why I think Ben Shapiro was racist, who runs the world, and with the whole Nick Cannon situation and why we need leverage, defining what power is and overpowering people, because I feel like I've talked about it before, but in the last podcast, episode 18, I don't think that other people understand what I'm saying when I say it. So when I think it, I understand the concepts, but I have to be better at articulating it so that other people who hear it go, okay, that makes sense to me. We're going to also kind of touch on Jordan Peterson. He had an interview with Joe Rogan where he talked about girls' agreeableness and why they don't get further in the workplace, why they have a lot of problems in their life, and why that character trait is not beneficial to them in, I guess, the society that we have set up in that work environment. So a girl, Aaliyah's Face, has a situation where we use her as an example for agreeableness. You may find she's kind of popular on YouTube, I guess. Melissa's agreeableness will be on there, and then also rape. We're gonna talk about rape because I feel like we had a conversation about agreeableness, and rape falls into that category. And I think that personally, I put a lot of the onus on women when it comes to rape, and we're gonna get into that later in the podcast. So, that was today's agenda. That was the first part of the format. And see how I just went through that. Boom. Now we're gonna go to my life update. This is the next part of the format. Okay, so in the life update segment of the podcast, I'm gonna pretty much explain what happened with me last week and what I plan on doing for the weeks going forward, including this current week and the weeks after that. Because like I said, the purpose of the podcast is to turn my life into a living, so you can actually, bruh. So I got this cat, right? Shit is crazy. I've had this cat for 10 plus years, and I don't even have allergies. I don't have any allergies in my entire life. I have never had an allergy that I knew of, never been told to have an allergy. But I think because we live in a studio and the apartment is smaller, the fur is everywhere. Like, it's in the air. What? Oh, it's in the air. She's on the bed. The fur is all over the place. But between Melissa's hair, my hair, the cat's hair, dandruff, dirt, dead skin, it's just all over. It's everywhere, and you can't see it, but it's everywhere because we don't have an air filter, which I want to get, and we don't really leave the windows open that often, so it's kind of just in the house. And I think that that's fucking with my nose, because when I've had the cat before, even at my dad's house and my mom's house, I've had a space where I can go to where the cat is not in, and she wasn't in the bed as much as she is here. So it's a lot of different things. So I want to get an air filter for that exact reason, because I can't deal with I'm sneezing, my nose. Also, I'm not really sure if it's because of the cat itself or if I trim my nose hairs, because I trimmed my nose hairs, and right after I did that, shit got really crazy where I started sneezing and my nose was all acting weird, and I didn't know how important nose hairs were until I trimmed mine. So, but back to the life update segment of the podcast. I had a conversation, or I wouldn't call it a conversation, a couple of little tweets back and forth with somebody on Twitter, and we were talking about, he said he had some type of ailment or some type of digestional problem, but when I asked him what it was, he didn't want to explain it, which is weird to me, because pretty much it went like this. He came on Twitter and said, I have this crazy, I'm paraphrasing, I have this crazy disease and I can't eat meat anymore, or I can't be a vegetarian anymore, I have to eat meat. So my first question is, what disease is that? Like, I've never heard of no disease like that. But then he said, I don't want to claim the disease publicly. So in my head, it's kind of like, but you put it out here publicly for everybody to see it. So I'm asking you that just struck me as really odd that he would say, I don't want to claim that publicly. And then I also feel like through that conversation, he was kind of defensive about being a vegetarian or a vegan. And I say that because when I asked him about it, his response was, what is your intention of asking me these questions? Are you trying to give me advice? Are you trying to tell me that I'm doing this wrong, or things like that? As opposed to just answering the question, he became defensive, in my opinion. So it was just kind of an odd interaction. But we finally got past that, and I was asking him what foods is he able to eat with the ailment that he has. And he was saying that, what vegetables can he not eat? He was saying broccoli makes him fucked up. And if you know about the food that we eat, we don't eat broccoli. He also said cauliflower. I stay away from cauliflower, but they choose to put cauliflower in a lot of this new vegan. And it's why I don't like the word vegan, because it lumps us into the category of what everybody else eats. But so I'm still trying to figure out how to actually explain what it is that we eat and how to market it to other people. Because Hunter used to eat, what is it called? Like cauliflower food, because it was vegan food. But when we do our research from what the food that we eat, we don't eat cauliflower because we're like, that's fucked up. But because somebody who thinks, I want to be healthy and this is a substitute for meat, this is better for me. And it's like, you shouldn't eat that. So I wasn't surprised when he said that the cauliflower and the broccoli fuck him up. Now I'm trying to remember the reason why. It might be in my notes. Maybe while we're doing the podcast, Melissa could look it up and she'll give me the feedback as to why the broccoli and cauliflower is not good for you. So I'll bring that up later in the podcast. My bike is finally fixed. That shit took forever to get it fixed. I feel like I've been out of work for mad long. For this whole month, I feel like I might have only worked 6 times this whole month, which is crazy for me. I gotta stop saying I'm gonna come back to that at the end. Melissa, can you remind me to talk about articulation and vocabulary at the end of the life updates? That's the again. Is that like a transition? I feel like what's going on here?
Oh, you need to see that?
Yeah. Just so I could just have understand what were you doing though?
I was trying, because you asked, you wanted me to look something up, so I was gonna, there's a way that you can freeze the screen.
Freeze it? Oh, freeze that? Oh, okay.
I thought, okay. Yeah, because if you separate the screen, I can do whatever, I can look it up, but the notes will still be on the screen.
Yes, I've never even heard of that, so I'm intrigued as to what that is. Okay, yeah, that's fire. That helps a lot. That helps a whole lot. So like I said, we're getting better. As you see, you're seeing the many steps that it takes to make a podcast better. It's little things like this. They'll get to it. Oh, she's making sounds. That sounds like, what does that mean?
That was Kate.
I thought that was you.
No.
You need to go.
They probably came from outside.
Oh, okay.
Why the fuck would I make that?
Right, I thought you were stressed about something. So, as I was saying before, my bike got fixed, right? And it was broken because it caught on fire. And I posted a video in the last podcast about what that looks like. So, again, until you have timestamps, you can go back to that video, watch the timestamp, and then come back to this video just so you can see. Or you could just Google what e-bike explosion looks like or something, and you can find that out. So my friend was supposed to come over on Saturday to fix my bike. He did not come over on Saturday to fix it. So I had actually canceled my plans to go to Maryland with Melissa on Saturday because he was going to come over that day. And this comes down to anybody who wants to be successful with anything. There's always going to be decisions you have to make in your life between A and B or A, B, and C. And depending on what you choose is what you're putting more energy into. And that is what has a greater chance of succeeding. So in my mind, when I have these situations, this is how I do it in my head. I ask myself, okay, Donivan, you're going to go to Maryland, and the other option is you can get your bike fixed. Which one do you want? If you go to Maryland, there's a possibility that you may not get your bike fixed. And is that more important? Is going to Maryland more important than being able to work? And being able to work then funds the dream that you have. And I go, okay, I don't think it is. I don't think it's worth that. I don't think going to Maryland right now, I can go to Maryland anytime. I can go next week or next month or whatever. Maryland's not going anywhere. However, I'd rather have my bike fixed so that I can work and make money to then go to Maryland and pay for things that I want to do. So a lot of times when scenarios like this come up, I have to ask myself, okay, choose A or B. Similarly enough, I had a conversation today, one of my consultations this morning that I had, where when you're talking, I'm trying to think of an example of what was it? Oh, actually, even better example. Somebody tweeted on Instagram, on Twitter. Somebody tweeted on Twitter yesterday. I sound old. Somebody tweeted yesterday that you would be mad if you choose your spouse over your kids. Now, I'm actually going to ask Melissa about this. How do you feel about that? Who do you think you should choose as a mom? Would you rather choose your children or your husband?
Innately, the first thing that comes to my head is probably the child.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like the most logical answer would be the husband because he can make more kids.
Mm-hmm.
But innately, I'm gonna save my child.
Okay, so this is an example of choosing between A and B when you have these dilemmas in your life, because it kind of just helps you to understand what's more important.
But didn't you die? Damn, I don't know how you die. What kind of fuck with my kids like that? What if I fuck with them though?
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna tell you what I think after you finish.
Yeah.
Okay. So these are the kind of dilemmas people have throughout their life when it comes to should I go to this event or to that event? Should I hang out with this friend or that friend? Should I cut this person off or cut that person off? You have to decide in the long term, what is your goal and how does this decision help does it lead to your goal or go away from your goal? When you do that, then it's easier to make that decision. So for me, my dilemma was no. For me, my goal is to not have to work anymore. Does going to Maryland help me not have to work anymore? It does not. It could. I don't think that it does. So if we were going there to watch a movie with my cousins in the backyard. So it's family time. but I don't think that that helps me to further my goal. So I have to choose this path that helps me further my goal, or this other path that takes me away from my goal. And then when you do that, it makes it easier to choose what you want to do going forward. So as far as the question with Melissa and the guy on Twitter, I believe that it's better to save your spouse than it is your children. And the reason I say that is because partly one of the answers that Melissa gave was that you can make more children, right? And the guy said that he would save his children. Now, to me, I don't think that's a good idea, because you're making your own life. So once your children make their own life at 18, 19, 20, whatever, they're going to leave you. They're going to have their own wife and kids. They're going to have their own family. And you're supposed to have your own family. So if my family is me and my wife, I'm going to, let's say, here's an example, right? Ooh, that makes it harder when you put it like that. I just imagine them falling off a cliff and I got to grab one person's hand and the other one is falling. Whose hand do I grab? I see, that's an extreme version of it, but it doesn't have to be that extreme. It's more so of understanding that whatever choice you have, there will be consequences with that choice. So a more reasonable example would be if my wife has an event and my child has an event, and I'm like, okay, my wife's marriage and our marriage is kind of shaky right now. I haven't actually been hanging out with her. So I need to go to this event. But I know if I go to this event, my children will be upset. Will I make that choice to have my children upset at me and somehow maybe traumatize them going forward, or risk my relationship with my wife to make my children happy? The reason I say that I would choose my wife is because once my kids grow up, they're going to leave. And they'll have their own life, and it would be wrong of me as a parent to expect my child to now comfort me in the house because I lost my wife because I chose them instead. If I give the majority of my attention to my children, it comes down to, okay, my children love me, I'm a great parent, but my wife felt like I didn't give her any attention. My wife felt like I didn't really care about her. My wife felt like I put the kids over her. And that only leads to a toxic relationship, because now every time something comes up, she's still a human being. She still wants me to pay attention to her and care for her and love her, but my attention is going into my kids. So that's why I believe that I would rather choose my spouse, because I can, one, make more kids, and two, my kids will not always be there for me. Like, my kids can possibly leave. So my wife could leave too. So let me see. Yeah, I think it'd be easier. Would it be easier to find a new wife or find new kids? I think it's honestly, it would be easier to get new kids than it would be to get a new wife. Because, like, right now, right? Me and Melissa get married. We've already known each other for 2 years. Let's say we have a kid. How old are you? 22? Let's say when do you want to have a kid? If you had to pick an age, not an actual number, like not a financial place, just an age. That's mad early. I feel like that was earlier than I thought. But, so 26 is 4 years from now, right? So that means that I met Melissa when she was, yes, that's 2 more years on the lease, and then you pretty much there already.
It's because I don't want to be old having a kid.
What's old? 26. Cardi B is 26. Is she old?
No, that's what I'm saying. I don't want to be old.
That's what I'm saying. She's not even, like, what's old? Who's 30 is not. Is Rihanna old?
Rihanna's not 30.
How old is she?
Rihanna's not 30.
I feel like she's like 32.
You're right. She's probably 32. She's probably 32.
Yeah.
So, yeah, maybe 30.
That's why I'm like, 26 is like tomorrow.
Oh, because I don't want to, because when the older that you have a kid, the more complications that you have.
They be saying that. I think they be lying. I think that's the people who are unhealthy. I don't think healthy people go through that. I don't know if that's true, because Serena Williams has some shit. But I don't know what she was eating, though. I think the food she was eating fucks up her stomach, her body, regardless of that. So you said 26. So for me, if I have a kid with Melissa at 26, and I'll be 30, that'd be 4 years from now. I met you at 21. I met you at 20, technically. So that means that I will know Melissa for 5-6 years. So that's something where in that range. That's 5 to 6 more years that I've had with Melissa, building a relationship with her than I did with my kids. This is interesting. There was a girl that I was talking. We weren't talking, but she had asked me a question about, would I choose my wife or would I choose my spouse? This was years ago when I was running a game, and I had said to her that I would choose my mother, because I know that women are vindictive and women are, what's the other word I'm looking for? I would say vindictive, and they're always trying to one up you and become better than you, and they are always trying to emasculate you. And I thought to myself, why would I choose that over my mother? And she was like, she did not like that. We weren't talking, we weren't even having sex or anything like that. But she went in and talked about how I can't get off my mother's nipple, and this is the problem with guys and things like that. So, now that I am where I am now, I would definitely choose my spouse over my mother because
I'm so amazing.
you're not my spouse. Because when my mom should have her own life, and her own life would mean she has a job that she likes, she has a husband that she likes, she has, things that she likes to go do in her free time. She has her own goals, she has her own life. My existence comes from her life, and then I go in and build my own life. It shouldn't be attached to her life. It shouldn't be like, okay, I have to do what she's doing. If she likes to work here, I have to work with her. If she likes to go play volleyball, I play volleyball with her. That shouldn't be my life. I should be doing things that I like to do. And as I got older, I realized that that's what I should be doing. I should be trying to build my own life. I shouldn't be choosing my mother over my significant other. So with children, though, that I feel like that's a little bit more complicated. And then if you get into nuance, it all depends on like the type of mother, the type of woman you're with, and that's more nuanced. But we're not getting into that. We're just talking about on a superficial base level. Which one would you choose? So now I'm thinking about it. Would I choose my kids over? I don't think I would. It's weird because like you said, in the moment you think about, okay, I'll choose my kids. But then you think, okay, I saved my kids. How old are they? Yeah, you think about I saved my kids, but my wife is not here anymore. Am I going to be happy like that?
Is that selfish? Is that immoral?
Which part?
Choosing yourself for your happiness.
I'm trying to think, which one would I want to have? Which kid would I want? Would I want to have? This should have been in Donivan's questions, which is another segment for this podcast. I would, like the same thing Melissa said, logically, you would choose your spouse, but emotionally, you would choose your kid. And I think the reason that people would choose their kid is because when you think of child, you think of somebody that doesn't have the ability to provide for themselves. So you feel like you have to save them. But with a spouse, you feel like, okay, this is an adult. This person thinks for themselves. I don't have to really save them. And I think that's what it comes down to. So,
and then another thing that you also have to consider, if you save the child, it's kind of like, would you financially be able to support the child by yourself? What's the child's quality?
Even more. See, this is why I lean more towards spouse, because you said financially. What about emotionally and mentally? Because like now, the child doesn't have a parent. And I could raise my child without a parent, but the child will probably not be as stable as the child that comes from a two-parent household. And I think that it would be easier to start a new life with my spouse if we could just make more kids if something were to happen to our child. And I think it'd be easier for us to do that than it would be for my child, because I can't give my child a new mother. I can't give my child like a new biological father or whatever the case might be. I can't give them that. There's zero possibility of me ever giving them a new parent. You only have one, but I can have more kids, so I can make more kids. And this conversation to some people sound very emotionless, and it's just a conversation. A lot of people, I've realized, can't have conversations like this because it makes them feel uncomfortable, and when they feel uncomfortable, they shut down and they go, oh my God, how could you say that, instead of actually thinking on a logical level. Nobody's lost their kids, nobody has died. It's just a conversation. You should be able to have a conversation, especially in your own head, if nobody's around. Like if you're listening to this and you're walking around and you're thinking, you shouldn't be afraid to think things. Nobody's in your head. You can think whatever you want.
It's funny because I don't know, that might be a religious thing.
What?
I would definitely be like, shit, what am I thinking? Why am I thinking this? Oh man, is something bad gonna happen to me because I'm thinking this thought?
Yeah, listen, that's another thing that comes. There's a word for that in the. Can you Google that too? There's a term for that.
Term for what?
Googling like having really bad thoughts about things, because it's very normal for people to have bad thoughts. I've had thoughts of killing people, stabbing people, jumping off a rooftop, blowing stuff up. These are all bad thoughts people have, and it's normal to have these thoughts.
Unwanted intrusive thoughts.
Unwanted intrusive thoughts. That's like a psychological term. I mean, a medical term for it.
It looks like it.
Okay.
And that it's related to PTSD and OCD.
Interesting. I'm looking into that some more too. But yeah, you have a lot of different thoughts in your mind, and I think that having the thoughts is perfectly fine. I think it only becomes a problem when you act on the thoughts. You have to be able to understand that thoughts come and go throughout the day. The number of thoughts you have is probably millions of thoughts a day, if not more. And you are upset that you're trying to stop yourself from having one or two thoughts. It's like, don't put yourself under that kind of stress. This thoughts will go away. It is what it is. So you just have the thought. You can sit down in the park, have crazy terroristic thoughts or crazy murderous thoughts, but as long as you don't act on the thoughts, you're just like everybody else in the world. Everybody has thoughts that they think they would be ashamed if anybody else heard about them or thought about them, but they don't do them, and that's fine. It's human nature to have thoughts that don't coincide with what society tells you to think. So got a little bit sidetracked off of my bike getting fixed and not going to Maryland, but he came over at 11 o'clock last night to fix the bike. We were down in the basement till like 2:30 in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning fixing the bike. He's able to fix my bike, so shout out to him. Like I said, that was amazing. Like, he doesn't understand how much I appreciate that he can do that. He came over here to fix the bike because, one, it was the middle of the night. Two, I didn't pay him. I want to, but I'm broke. I'm gonna come back to that too in a second. So can you write that down? Me come back to me being broke. And I don't see you writing anything. You don't remember it?
Can you give me a second?
I see you not writing. If I'm like, I don't understand. All right, okay. Listen, I told you top 5 podcasts. So what's the nice name for a podcast? Top 5 podcasts. So I might put that in the tags for the video. So he came over and fixed the bike, and not only did he fix that bike, he was able to fix my old bike. So the other bike works. Now technically I have 2 bikes that work, 2 electric bikes that work. And the reason I have not sold my bike, the old one, is because I want to have it as an insurance policy in case something comes up. So if this were to happen again going forward, I could just go I can go to work on my old bike or my second bike, and while the first bike is getting fixed, I'm still making money. Listen, it's all about, like I said, maintain and grow. You keep doing this, you keep compounding your interest, you're going to be successful. Compound whatever success you have and keep maintaining whatever success you had before that, and you'll be fine. That's my goal. That's one of the monikers of the podcast, and the moniker of the Bamboo Project is maintain and grow. So where was I? So like I said, he fixed the bike. So now both my bikes are pretty much up and running. That's not true. They both have the ability to be up and running. They still need a little bit more parts here and there. I need a tire and a tube for the other bike, the older one. I need a cycle analyst, which is considered like an LCD screen, so you can see how much battery you have left, how far you went. I need a new throttle and a key switch and some connectors so that I can connect all of these things together. So that is that for the bike part of my week, which is done. I'm gonna try and get back to work on Thursday or Friday to get back to working, because like I said, I'm broke, and right now if I check my account, my nose, actually my account was negative yesterday. My account has not been negative. My account has not been negative probably since October, probably, or something around that time. Since I started looking at my finances and looking over it, and having Money Mondays on my Instagram, I stopped having my account go into negative. But it went to negative over the weekend, so I have pretty much no money in that account. That's my main account. I have a couple $1,000s in my other account, which I don't count as money because that's not to be touched. But that makes me see myself as broke. I have probably I have about $7,000 invested into the stock market right now. But my money's not liquidated, so I don't consider it having money, because if something were to happen right now where I needed money, I can't really just go and my credit card's maxed out, so I have to pay that off. But just have a $2,500 limit on that card, and my other card, which is a Discover card, has an $8,000 limit or $8,600 limit, but that's been maxed out for like 7 years, and all I do is pay the minimum off, so I don't miss a payment until I have the money to pay it off. So when I get an apartment or I buy rental property, I can pay that off, and my credit will go up, and I can be able to buy the property. But again, both cards are maxed out, so I can't use that. I don't really have any actual cash to go out and purchase things and get things I need to get done. And the reason I'm saying these numbers is because for me personally, in the future, when I look back on this, I want to remember where I was and where I came from. And other people, I want them to be able to have a gauge of where they are in their life. Because I remember for me, growing up, nobody really talked about how much money they have in their account. They just kind of said, I was doing well, I was doing bad, or things like that. But I want people to be able to look at me and go, okay, this is a benchmark. This is just a benchmark. That doesn't have to be I'm higher than you or lower than you. But depending on where you are, it's like, okay, I'm DonivanGray, I'm 26, and I have this much money in my account and this much money invested, right? And you might be 22 and be like, oh, I have more money than that. That's kind of cool. I like where he's at, so I feel like I'm doing good. Or you might be 24 or 26 and be like, damn, I only have $100 to my name in total. I gotta do better. So I think it's good to actually have a benchmark to either surpass or see that, okay, I'm doing better than other people. I think it's healthy to have something like that. So I also changed my investing strategy because I've been doing more research on it, and I was kind of just throwing darts at the wall before. And it's not as random as throwing darts because I have some type of knowledge about the companies I invested in. But on a financial level, I didn't know about the companies that well. I just know these are good companies I think that are going to be successful. So I invested money into them. Oh, excuse me. So, what was I going to say? Good?
I feel like it's dark.
I'm thinking I could change it. So, and yeah. What was I saying? Yeah, so my investing strategy has changed. I still will invest $50 a week to Bitcoin. And so that actually I forgot about that money. I have some like $700 invested in Bitcoin because I've been putting $50 a week for the last couple of weeks, and it just went up about 15% over the last couple of days. So that money went up, and because I'm getting into investing more, I want to be able to pick stocks instead of diversify the way people talk about, because it's pretty good. A lot of people say you should have a diversified portfolio, and according to some successful people, they feel like that's stupid because if you knew in 2002 that Amazon was going to be Amazon, you would not put your money anywhere else. You would put all your money into Amazon. If you were able to pick Amazon as a stock that's going to be amazing, you go, okay, I'm going to buy Google, Amazon, Facebook, and Apple stock. Why would you buy another stock if you already knew how great those companies were going to be? So Warren Buffett and some other billionaires and successful investors feel like diversifying is not that important because people don't know what they're doing, so they throw their money all over the place. An example that he gave was, if there is a list of 35 different companies and you know the biggest return is going to be at the top 3 companies, why would you invest in the bottom 3? Why would you put any money to the bottom 3 if you know you're going to get the biggest return from the top 3? So I've been trying to do that. So I'm going to leave the money I have in there for now. And I'm going to still put $100 a week away so that I can actually invest it later when I actually know how and where I want to invest it. Also, I feel like the market is going to get even worse. I feel like what's going to happen is the market's going to go back up. All the stocks are going to go up because right now the stock market is being held up by the government as opposed to the actual companies themselves, which is bad. So I feel like the stocks are going to crash again. And then not only that, the housing market is going to crash. So around that time is when I feel like, okay, I'll have money saved up, and then I can go in and buy up stuff and buy, stocks at a cheaper price. I can buy houses at a discounted price, and I can actually build actual real wealth. So that's my goal. So I figured, okay, let me just put $100 a week aside for that, $50 a week away for Bitcoin, because I feel like that's going to end up being a very important currency. And then I also want to put $350 away a week just because I'm flexing. That's why, honestly, I want to be able to say I put $350 away a week. And I think, because I know it'll help me in the future. And I don't like to save. I'm not a saver, but I feel like, okay, if you're making a good amount of money, put $350 away a week aside. It's gonna be helpful at some point. So put it away, and I feel like it's like I want to invest. I want to save $350 a week on top of it, but I think to myself, could I be investing that money into myself and buying stuff for the businesses? So that's where I'm at. But I definitely want to start actually putting money to the side, because this is the first time in my life that I've actually had a situation where a crisis actually came, and a world crisis has affected my life. And now I see the point of having a savings, because things can go really bad, and not just, oh, your bike's not working, or, oh, somebody stole money from it. Things can get to a point where your job no longer exists. And I don't think before this happened, people thought about that. Nobody really thought, oh, my job's going to just lay me off and then I can't go and work anymore, and the government's going to tell me I can't get a job. Like, nobody thought this would happen, or I didn't think it was a thing. So now that I've actually experienced it, I'm like, okay, now I understand that things can go really wrong, and it's good to have money aside in case something goes wrong, because as they say, something will always go wrong. I think that's the law. Is that Murphy's Law? Murphy's Law.
Whatever can go wrong will go wrong.
Right. So that's why it's good for me to have money to the side. And one of the things about investing that I was talking about is investing into myself. So we have a weekly schedule, which is behind me right here. Am I doing it?
A little bit higher.
Right here?
Yeah.
Okay, right here. So in our weekly schedule, Melissa had bought a board from Target. Podcast is up there. Right there. So the weekly schedule that we made, I feel like this is a debt collector. I'm gonna answer it though. Hello?
Well, good afternoon. This is Tori Skeet from Affinity Health Plan. Can I speak to DonivanGray, please?
Speaking. Actually, can I?
Donovan?
Yeah, how important is this phone call? Because I'm actually busy right now.
Oh, this is about your health insurance here with Affinity. I just wanted to follow up with you. Did you notice that it was time for you to do your renewal and everything like that? Did you get any notifications regarding the case?
I did not see any renewal notifications.
Okay.
When is it? When did it expire?
Yeah, that's why we're calling you, so we can see if we can educate you on everything and possibly put things back in place for you. I know you said you're busy right now. When would be a better time to give you a call back? Would later this evening, like around 5:30 be better, or would tomorrow in the morning be better for you?
Tomorrow in the morning would be better.
Okay, so we'll give you a call about 10:30, and then we'll go from there, and then we'll see if we can assist you and move forward. Fair enough?
Okay, that sounds good.
All right, Donovan, pleasure talking to you. Have a great evening. We'll
You
talk to
too.
tomorrow.
Thank you.
All right, bye.
So health insurance, when you're an adult, important thing to have. Mine is not very expensive. Last time I checked, it was like $40-something a month, and I have it with Affinity, and I got money back last time when I filed my taxes and I told him I had health insurance. So Donald Trump was able to get me $700 taken off of my tax bill. So back to the investing schedule that I have. So like I said, it's hours, because I have a podcast on it. Melissa's hating because she feels like just because 60 days out of the week or 70 days out of the week, she has a schedule on there, and I'm on there once, she feels like it's not our schedule. Okay, I don't understand why she feel like that. Either way, so we came up with this plan because we wanted the project to be pushed, like I said in the last podcast, because I'm transitioning out of working for other people, and I ain't working for other people, working for my money. I'm transitioning out of that. So we're trying to build up a business where we don't actually have to do the work to make the money come in. We want more passive income. We want more of a free cash flow. You feel me? Investing terms. So Sunday is editing day. Tuesday, Monday. Oh, how to sneeze. Shit. Excuse me. Excuse me. God damn. So Sundays for editing, right? Mondays for food. Tuesdays for podcast. Wednesdays for editing. Thursdays for the clothes and food. Fridays for editing, and Saturdays for music. So what happened? My nose just sounds crazy. All I do is turn around. That's what I turned around towards the cat, and now my nose is all fucked up. But yeah, I can't breathe. What am I saying? So we have that schedule planned out because, like I said, I want to push these things a lot more. So on the Saturday, Melissa will be singing on her Instagram and doing things to push that project. On Thursday, you can go on Instagram to see clothes. If you look on the food Instagram, you'll see different tips on food that we eat and why we choose to eat the food that we eat. You'll see different recipes. If you go on YouTube, you can actually watch the videos of the food that we've made before. And then Monday is more food. So we're getting into making more food so we can actually put out an ebook for recipes and we can actually start selling the food to people. So that's the plan that we have going forward. And right now you're seeing the building blocks of that plan. So now that was my life update. That was that segment. Okay. What?
You're broke. You wanted to talk about that?
I'll put that in there. Why I don't have no money. Like me not having money. I said that.
Oh, okay. Articulate your vocabulary.
Oh, right. So one thing I'm working on now is trying to increase my vocabulary, because I feel that when I'm talking to people, right, I have a loss for words. A lot of times I'm thinking I keep saying, what is that word? I can't think of a word for that. And in my head, I see the picture of what I'm talking about, but I don't actually have the word to accurately identify and articulate what I'm trying to say. So I'm going to start, and what I didn't want to happen was me going back to where I was before, where I was using a lot of words that people didn't actually use throughout their day. So it came across to me being pretentious. So I didn't really want to do that. So I want to get to a point where I'm using more, I'm extending my vocabulary more to be able to communicate better with people. That's what I'm trying to do. So that might include me having to read. That might mean I have to, have my word list right here on my phone. I'm gonna look up 5 words real quick that I used to use. Because back in the day when I was reading, I would write down all the words I don't know. If I heard a word on the TV I didn't know, I would write it down and then define it, and then try and use that word regularly. Let me see. I have a word list on here. Here's my word list. So this is a word on here would be, this is funny. Corroborate is a word I put on here. Cumbersome is a word I had on here. I think this is funny because these are words I understand now. Yeah, I use those words now, which is funny to me because at one point I never heard the word, never used it. And incredulous, I think that's a word I should see. This is what I'm saying. I like these. These are words. Incredulous means unwilling or unable to grasp something. That is a great word. Incestuous, excessively close and resistant to outside influence. Yeah, me neither. I feel like I gotta check that again. Litigious, unreasonably prone to go to law to settle disputes. See, I'm gonna have to look over these words again so I can use these words on the podcast. We're trying to make the podcast better.
You didn't want to use those words.
No. I don't think that incredulous is a word that you think that's a word I shouldn't use. Predicated.
I thought you didn't want to use words that were like too over the top.
Yeah. Words like.
Oh, basically you're saying you're not trying to use it in every sentence. You're not trying to use one of those multiple.
No. Pernicus. That exactly. That's what I'm like. And if I use a word like what's the one I saw? Start with an M. Mellifluous. Pleasingly smooth and musical to hear. It's like, it's kind of like those are words I don't want to use.
Okay. But if it makes sense.
Yeah, I don't want to be like, oh, that person I was talking to was real rapacious. Rapacious? I can't even pronounce. Rapacious. Rapacious. I don't know. Yeah, rapacious. Resplendently. I can use that. I feel like that's me being in my bag though if I use that one. So these are some of the words that, like I said, I'm looking through my word list from before. I'm gonna start reading again and trying to formulate better sentences so that when I talk and communicate, it comes across better and you can understand what I'm saying. So the next segment of the podcast is called episode playback. This is where I go through the things that I remembered or that I saw in the podcast when I went through it that I either felt like I didn't explain correctly, or I felt like I said something wrong in a podcast, or I forgot something. So I'll just have episode playback. There was a mass interaction at the parking lot, which I was going to talk about, which I didn't talk about in the last podcast, which I still feel like is not a big topic, but I'm going to say it only because it happened last week. I didn't talk about it, and I said I would in that podcast, where somebody was getting real spicy in the parking lot. Because I went to the parking lot for this movie theater with my girlfriend and my mother and my sister, and thou shalt not be spoken of. And we were at the theater, and it's a parking lot. It's a big ass parking lot. So my mom, Melissa, and myself had went to go and get some food. So we're walking to the back of the parking lot of Orchard Beach. And while we're in the back of the parking lot, some guy actually comes to my mom, and he calls my mom over to her and says, hey, can you buy me ice cream? They won't let me pass this line to go buy it because I don't have a ticket. So my mom was like, all right, cool. So the guy gave her the money. She went to the ice cream thing and bought the guy some ice cream for his kids. So while she's online, me and Melissa are standing in the parking lot by ourselves. Nobody's like, the social distancing rule is 6 feet, right? We probably had a distance of people from probably 100 plus feet. I don't think anybody was in I would say a 75-foot range of us. That's what I would say. Yeah, about 75 feet. Nobody was in that range of us. But this guy felt the need to come up to us and ask what we were doing. And I'm like, we're standing here. And he asked, yes, do you have a ticket? Is that what he asked?
Yeah.
And did I say yes?
I think you asked. Oh, you said no. Because we didn't have.
Oh, right. He said, do you have a ticket? I'm like, no, I don't have a ticket. No. Oh, he said, I think he asked, can he see my ticket? I said, I don't have it. I don't have one to show you. And he was just being corny. This comes back to that small man syndrome, that Tory Lane syndrome. It comes back to people that feel like they want to overpower you because they're shorter, and they feel like if I'm given this power by my establishment and my job, I want to influence or wield that power over you. And they forget that they can get punched in the face in real life. They forget about that kind of stuff. But they feel like because my job told me I could say this to you, I'm going to come say it to you. So he came up to me and he's acting real weird and corny about it. He's asking, where's your ticket? Do you have a ticket? Show me your ticket. You know, what are you guys doing here? Where's your mask? And I'm like, there's nobody over here for me to wear a mask. I don't have my mask in the car. Like, I don't have it with me. I'm like, what do you want me to do? I'm not going to go back to the car to get a mask if nobody's over here. The whole purpose of social distancing is so that nobody's around you. So that if you have the thing, you won't give it to anybody. But nobody's over here except you. You came over here to bother us. So then once he realized that I was not about to, see, right now I need a word. I'll say bend to his will. He realized, okay, I got to go call in reinforcements, right? So this is the problem that I have. And I don't know if Melissa sees this. I mean, I feel like Melissa is starting to see it more happen with me, where I'll just be chilling and somebody will start acting weird. It happened once we were on a train and there was some white guy during the whole lockdown, or was it during the curfew, and this dude was staring at me crazy on the train, like eyeing me down for no reason. And I'm just like, what is the problem with him? Melissa has seen another situation, I can't remember, it's another one, where I'll be chilling and somebody will come up to me and have a problem with me, and mind you, I won't be doing anything. So here we have this again. And the reason I bring this up is because I don't think that Melissa comes from a Caribbean household, and I don't know if they experience what I experienced or had that conversation with people. So because Melissa and I are dating, she can see it firsthand, where it's like, what would you tell me to do? I guess you could tell me that I should listen to him and I should show him my ticket, which I didn't have, by the way, because I couldn't show him that. And I should pretty much, what's the word for bowing down? See, here we go again, another word. Yield. He wanted me to be his bitch, pretty much. That's what he wanted me to do. And I tried my hardest not to be somebody's bitch. That's usually my goal, not to be somebody's bitch. So when he's doing that, and I'm like, listen, I don't have, and I'm not being rude, I'm telling him the truth. I'm like, look, I don't have a mask. It's in the car, and nobody's around me. We're in a parking lot. So I don't have to worry about, and it's not even mandatory for me to wear a mask because it's not a law. So why are you bothering me? Like, what is the issue? So once he left, he called somebody on his little walkie-talkie, and he left. So I'm thinking everything is fine. But this weirdo is walking back and forth in front of me and Melissa, and like not close enough for us to like ask him what he's doing, but close enough for us to be looking at him like, what's wrong with him? Why is he doing that? And he would walk towards us, and we would look at him. He would walk a different direction, turn his head, look away, and he kept doing it. So we're just like, what the fuck is wrong with him? So he keeps doing this probably like 8 times or so, right? So then he leaves. So now that he leaves, me and Melissa's still standing there waiting for my mom to come back from buying her ice cream. My mom comes back. No, my mom doesn't come back. I see a white lady and a black guy in the distance having a conversation. So I'm like, what the fuck are they talking about, right? I see him look at me. I'm like, okay, I know this is about to go. I see them talking. They keep looking at me. They start talking, look at each other. They look back at me. I'm like, all right, they're going to come over here and say some bullshit to me. I'm like, here we go. I'm like, get the cameras ready because it's about to be a Karen situation. I'm like, get ready because it's about to be come over here and be crazy. So, as I said, the lady starts walking in my direction. Right? Did she come with a guy? She came by herself.
No, there was a guy nearby, but she walked over to him.
Yes. So she came with us by herself, right? And already I'm annoyed as I see her walking over to me. But I'm like, you know what? I don't know her reasoning. I don't know what she's gonna say when she comes over here. So I'm gonna be as respectful as possible. But I'm not going to start apologizing for anything because I didn't do anything wrong. So when she comes over to me, she goes, "Can I help you?" Or she said, "Can I help you?" I'm like, "No, I don't need any help." I think she asked me 2 more times. I'm like, there's nothing you can help me with. I don't need help. I'm fine. She's like,
Can I help you find your car?
Right, help me find your car. I'm like, it's over there. I know where the car is at. I don't need your help with anything. I don't know why you're over here. I didn't ask for help. I didn't call anybody to say that you need help. And then did she ask me? Did she ask me about the mask, or did she ask me about where we were or anything like that? I feel like she asked me something else too.
She asked, she said, "Can I help you?" And I'm like, "Yeah." We were just like, "What?" And then after that, she asked, "Do you need help finding your car?" And you said, "No, don't need help finding my car." I have it recorded, whatever it was.
Oh, really? Okay. Can you play it? I'm telling. I can recap that. That's perfect. So we have a recording of the audio from that day. This is perfect. It's great podcasting skills. We have the receipts. Oh, also, this is unrelated to that. When Melissa pulls that up, huh?
Did we have Kitty around?
Do we have Kitty around?
Did we have Kitty already?
Yeah. The podcast is at 298 plays, so it will be at 300 plays this week. So I just want everybody to know that we will be at 300 plays on the podcast. So everybody listen to it. Just know there was a time we weren't getting plays. We had 300 plays. We almost had 100 plays in 3 weeks, but I didn't do the marketing of it like I should have done last week to get us to 300. So we're at 298. So okay. Oh damn. Can you pause? That's hilarious. Can you send that to me? That's fucking hilarious. So we have the receipts of that conversation. And I was gonna call her Karen when she came over, but I was like, you know what? Don't be rude, Donivan. She didn't do nothing to you. All right, here we go. We're gonna play the audio. It is. She asked me, "Are you trying to get back to your vehicle?" I'm just like, I want to play it all the way through, but when I hear it, it makes me laugh. So, right now I'm at 10 seconds in. Hey, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
I'm good.
Can I help you? Are you trying to get back to your
Can you help me?
Yeah.
Why? I don't need any help.
Oh.
Hey, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
I'm good.
Can I help you? Are you trying to get back to your
Can you help me?
Yeah.
Yeah, so like I said, people started pulling up, so that's enough.
And then
So
it was something else too that happened. When she went back to talk to the guy that she's talking to.
Mm-hmm. Help.
Oh, okay. Were you trying to get back to your car?
No.
Yeah. So once we that thing was happening, she went up to the guy. He was like,
We're just standing right here.
Okay.
like corny people do it. This is
Okay,
what I said in the
thank you.
last
You're welcome.
podcast about what makes somebody a bitch. Are you gonna confront us about the problem? And have that conversation with us. You called her. She came over and didn't even ask us about a mask. Then you said the thing about the mask to her. She didn't say anything to you about the mask, so you was just being a bitch. That's literally what it comes down to. So now, for whatever reason, you're trying to enforce this mask policy when there's nobody near us. And it just comes down to, I don't have power in my real life. How can I inflict my power over you? Well, my job said I have to enforce masks, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to use that to make myself feel like I'm a grown up and I'm an adult and I'm a man. And that's what he ended up doing. We heard him say like, so they don't have to wear like masks or nothing? She was like, I didn't know she said no, but she didn't come back to us after that conversation. So
She said no.
Oh, she said no?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't hear her say no.
She said no, they're fine, and it's for the reason that you said we're not standing there. We're not standing near anyone.
Yeah, like we're all the way in the back of the parking lot. So, and mind you, he came up to he found us. Like he had to come look for us to tell us to put a mask on. I'm just like, bro, you being weird. So listen, don't be a Tory Lanez and don't be a random guy in the parking lot. So that was that happened last week. And again, you know how I feel about masks. Yeah, I know how I feel about masks, especially if nobody's around me. If somebody's around me, we can have that conversation. But if nobody's near me, you could. I have 3 choice words for you that you can do. Okay. Can you Google what is reserve currency? This is about last week's money talk. Reserve currency, because we kept calling America the world. We kept calling the U.S. dollar the world currency, and that isn't necessarily what it is. By definition, it's not really that. I believe it's called the world reserve currency. The world's reserve currency. So.
A reserve currency is a foreign currency that is held in significant quantities by central banks or other monetary authorities as a part of their foreign exchange reserves. The reserve currency can be used in international transactions, international investments, and all aspects of the global economy.
So.
It's like a unit of measurement, seems like.
Yeah. So when I was reading on it, it was saying that every bank should have a certain amount of people of different currencies. So because the U.S. dollar trade the most, and I believe we have the most gold, and I believe we have the strongest financial economy, everybody would have our money because we produce the most things. So if we produce the most things, it's better for you, and you're buying stuff from us, whatever the case might be, it's better for you to have our currency because you're going to be buying and trading with us. So that's what that is what the US dollar is. So when you go to certain banks, let's just give you arbitrary number. Let's say that it's the bank has 60% of their currency that they have is US dollars. Then 50%, then another 30% is the Chinese currency. Then another 10% is the euro, and then another 5% is whatever the currency there is. It's something similar to that. It's not those actual numbers, but that's an idea of what it is, because they want to have the money on hand in case somebody from America comes there and needs actual money. They want to have that money on hand in case they have to actually convert money, their actual money, to the US dollar, or the US dollar to the actual money. They want to be able to have enough of it on hand. Now, the thing that is kind of strange to me is why this is important, even though a lot of money is digital now. I don't understand why. I guess to know how much money something is worth. Because if I have $1 US, I gotta wipe my lips, because when you talk by yourself for a man long, you start getting like semen on your lips and shit. So gotta wipe it off. Yeah. So like I said, it's kind of weird to me that they would have that. This is how this works, because the money is not as physical as it used to be. So to actually have reserves of it is kind of strange, but I guess it's important because then it makes up the amount of money that a bank actually has. So if a bank says I have $100 worth of US dollars, and then I have 100 euros, and I have 50 yen, then you're able to add up how much money that bank has in its entirety. But that's still strange to me, because what are you adding it up to?
What do you mean?
Like, if I said to you, I have in my backpack, in my book bag, I have 6 apples, 4 bananas, 2 iPhones, a laptop, and a computer. How much do I have in my bag?
You have a certain amount of items.
Yeah, but like, what is like? How do you gauge what that is if there's no? You use the word item, which is a very vague term. It's like saying I have this much money.
Because I think a better way to think about it would be if you have 4 apples and you're trying to figure out how much is 4 apples equal to 3 bananas. So you would kind of because apples and bananas are two separate currencies, you would have to figure out what is common about them or what you can use to measure them, and you can measure them in weight.
So that's what I was thinking about. And we talked about this last week where we believe that all the money is measured by US dollars. So that's what they would be weighted against. But I'm thinking, yeah, I guess because we have the most dollars out there, that's probably why. Because why would you weigh your money against mine if your money is worth more than mine? That's why it seems weird to me.
If it's worth more than yours, you still need the unit to measure.
Yeah, right. To say what if it's above that.
You still need to say that it's pounds.
Yeah, you still need to say, and you need to be able to say that it's above what if there's a standard, is it above the standard or below the standard?
Boom.
There we go.
And we back.
So that was what is a reserve currency. And I'm also going to change my editing process because I'm going to start editing the podcast by looking for the timestamps first, looking for the clips I'm going to use to market it on social media first, and going and cutting out what I think is not important, or cutting out the pauses of things.
You're going to do that now?
No, that's why I didn't really want to say it. I'm going to like cut out if we're not talking for 17 seconds or like 2 minutes, or if you go to the bathroom, that kind of stuff. Like,
Didn't you cut that out before?
I did, but I feel like I want to do all of those things first before I actually listen to the podcast for its content.
Oh, okay. Because you listened to 2 minute pause.
Yeah, I'd be like, oh, that was fire. Okay, oh, that was good. And I'm forgetting that I'm actually listening to it to find stuff in the podcast to cut out. So I'm going to change that. I'm going to try and listen to the podcast at the end when I finish it. Also, another thing I haven't been doing as much as I used to is listening to the podcast once it's finally done. Because after I listen to it, after I do it and complete it, I just kind of leave it alone. Now I want to listen to it and get better from it. So I'm going to continue to try and, after I put it out, listen to it. And the reason I haven't been doing it as much is because by the time I get all the clips out, the podcast is being done again for the next, like we're doing the podcast again. So before, I feel like I could kind of listen to it more. I would put the podcast out randomly, just random times throughout the week. And throughout that time, I'll listen to it. But as you might have seen, the audio has been coming out every Wednesday for the podcast. So that's what I want to start doing and getting that on a actual schedule. And I want to start listening to it more so I can make the podcast better for the next podcast going forward. So that was that. Now, can you scroll down? We are at Donivan's questions for the podcast. See, this is kind of cool. I'm enjoying this. The questions that I have, and when I ask these questions, the questions are not necessarily for me to give you my point of view per se. It's just for me to spark a thought in your mind, and for you to kind of ask yourself these questions, and then you kind of mull it over. So, question number 1. They have a stimulus bill coming out where we get another $1,200. Would you want another $1,200 check if for the next 5 years you had to pay 50% in taxes? That's question number 1. I'll read it one more time. Would you want another $1,200 check if for the next 5 years you had to pay 50% in taxes? Now, the second question. What would happen to homeless people in a cashless society? Okay, one more time. Ready for this? What would happen to homeless people in a cashless society? Yeah, and then this is not Donovan's question, but I did want to say this. I don't think people will be required to get a vaccine because I think a lot of people will volunteer for it. And I think that when enough people volunteer for it, it will cause herd immunity. So everybody won't have to get it because enough people will have volunteered to get the vaccine. So that's crazy. How much time is it into the podcast? I feel like we should be at an hour. See, so now we get into today's topics. So let's see if we can keep this. I mean, maybe a little bit over an hour, maybe under an hour. I think over an hour would be fine. So what should I start off with? Hadassah, praying for. I told her I was gonna pray for her, right? I told her that I will pray that she gets a boyfriend. So we're gonna take this time to pray to Hadassah. gets a boyfriend. Okay. Moment of silence. Okay. Hadassah said that she wants a boyfriend.
She said that out of her mouth?
Yes. So it's like, let me make sure I read it. She wants a boyfriend. I believe that's what she said. I'm gonna double check it. I think it was on Twitter. When I got my battery fixed too, I forgot about that. I also got my iPhone battery replaced. What happened?
Rihanna was talking about the fact that she's dropping her Fenty skin line. She was saying that she has, stress from like traveling and fatigue and all that stuff, and now she's in her 30s. Somebody gonna comment underneath it, well, at least you don't get stress acne from working too hard on your music.
Did she respond?
No, she didn't respond. But after that, she was mad funny. I'm like, why would you say that to her? Why would you say, with a heart at the end? Like,
Facts.
She won't roast your ass.
I feel like, did we talk on the phone about this? I don't think we were on the phone when we talked about this.
Did you find out this shit never happened? Donovan dreamt of Hadassah saying that?
Oh, it might be on Instagram. I think it's on Instagram. I'm like, I seen this shit somewhere. Like, I thought I had this in my head from somewhere. Okay. She said, put it in the universe. Next podcast, why I want my cousin to date this guy. That's what she said. Boom. So y'all need to be dating. Only, first of all, this was last week that we had this, that she told me this. If you're listening, sir, to this podcast, I need you to understand, you are a grown ass man, and you need to stand up to your mother when it comes to dating or any woman that you're with. There's no reason why your mother should be making the girl you're talking to feel uncomfortable. You need to address that without her having to tell you to address that. If she has told you that makes her feel uncomfortable, then you need to take the steps to address what is happening and why she feels uncomfortable. Saying, well, that's just how she is not addressing it. You need to actively do something and be proactive about it and say, listen, mom, I don't need whatever it is in your language that you would say, whatever language you say, whatever vocabulary that you use is how you need to address this situation when talking to your mother. Because there's, like I said before, and I said this in other podcasts, honestly, in the last podcast, your mother should not dictate your relationship. Honestly, your mother's role in the relationship should be very small. It should her opinion probably should only come up if you ask for it, or if she asks you, do you want her opinion? Other than that, it's irrelevant. It's irrelevant, especially when nothing is going wrong in your life. When you're not dating somebody that's toxic. When you're actually happy, nobody's getting physically abused, emotionally abused, or mentally abused, or financially abused. None of these things are happening. So, because you're in a relationship that's like that, there's no reason your mother should be trying to force her way in and separate two people by telling you this person is spending too much time with that person and I don't like her because she don't do this. Nobody asks you who you like. If you liked her, then you would date her. But that's not for you to date. You're not dating her. Go find you a man. So, boom. That was that. So, shout out to my cousin. We're gonna get you right with a nice, strong black man. So what should I start off with first? I think I'm gonna start off with this rape thing. I'm gonna start off with this whole rape. Yes. So, as you might have heard earlier in the podcast, I started off by saying why I think that the onus of rape should be on the women. Now, I may have said this before in the podcast. I don't remember if I did, but I will say it again. The reason why I say that women need to take responsibility for the rape that happens to them is because if they do not take responsibility for it, what they are doing is they are allowing the man to still have the power over them. They are allowing the man to still dictate their life. Is that proper? Yes, that's right. That they need. This is what I believe. So I think that women should understand that rape can happen and that they should take precautions against it. The reason I say that, people like to say, oh, Donivan, people rape and the men should stop raping. And I'm like, sure, men should not rape. 100%. I do not disagree that men should not rape women. Any man that rapes a woman should be given a death penalty. The death penalty, if he actually raped her, he should be put in jail for the rest of his life. And honestly, he should be put in solitary confinement for the rest of his life. Not in just jail. He should be put in solitary confinement for the rest of his life. That's where he should live. And I think they should allow them to get raped too. I think if a guy rapes a girl, I think it should be a law that you're allowed to get raped in prison. I think that should be a law too. However, the problem is that some people are crazy. Asking a man to not rape a woman is like asking somebody with Down syndrome not have Down syndrome. It doesn't work like that. A person that's gonna rape you has mental instability. Something is wrong with them. Something is deeply wrong with them. And just telling them, hey, don't do that, that's wrong, is not gonna fix that problem. So because they have that issue, you as the woman need to go, okay, there are some crazy ass men out here. I need to understand that I don't want to put myself in a situation where I'm more likely for a crazy ass dude to be crazy with me. That's why I say it's on the onus of women to fix these problems, because I feel like a lot of women go outside and feel like I can do whatever I want and I shouldn't get raped. And it's like, you shouldn't get raped. 100% shouldn't get raped. Does that mean you won't get raped? No, it doesn't mean that. It means that it's a possibility you can get raped. As long as you have that in your mind, you go, okay, am I going to walk down this dark alley that I've never been to before in an area that I've never seen? Am I going to go on a date with this guy that's giving me real rapey vibes? No, I'm not going to do that. These are things that you do. Now, there are a lot of people who and I don't even think this is really true. They say that they don't see the rape sign before they come. I would argue that you see them the majority of the time, but you ignore them. The majority of the time, I think people see them and they ignore them. Now, do you want to talk about your situation that you happened, or no?
Yeah, I'm confused as to what you're talking about. Because, okay, so the part I feel like the two examples that you gave weren't very good examples, because I don't think that most rapes happen like in an alleyway or something like that. I think it happens in like situations where you feel comfortable with the person or you know the person, and that's how that happens.
Okay.
I think my situation is a bit different because I was very intoxicated. So yeah, I can't speak towards the other situations where you might, I don't know, where someone is being violent with you. I can't speak towards that.
Okay. So with Melissa's situation particularly, the reason why I don't think I called it rape. I don't remember. Well, we don't know what happened because Melissa, do you care if I talk about it, or do you?
Or do you want me to say what happened?
I mean, sure. I think you should say what happened, and then I'll point out what I think about it.
I wasn't prepared to talk about this.
I wasn't gonna talk about it until we started talking about it. Make sure your areola don't come out on the podcast. So. Actually, I could put like a.
Be raped?
Yes, it does mean that. I'm like, I could just put a blur on it if it comes out, but I don't know if I might not spot it.
Will not come out.
Oh really? That's how it works. Listen, I don't be wearing bralettes, so I don't be knowing.
Oh Jesus, you're gonna make so many people mad. What is that face for?
That was my.
That was your what face?
My people gonna be mad. That's life.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. You're gonna be mad at you.
Everything. This is not our first conversation about it, so.
Okay, so what had happened was I went out to a birthday party for a friend of a friend. And I was friends with him too. We were cool. So it was a birthday party. It was at a hotel, and what had happened? I worked earlier that day. Okay. I worked earlier that day. I was working at Starbucks. I think I opened at work or something like that. And then I proceeded to leave work and then head to the get-together. Now, when I was doing that, I did not eat that much during that day. And I remember because when I got there, I was like, oh my gosh, you have food, right? Is there food here? And there was jollof rice because it was like my friend was Nigerian or whatever. So yeah, I remember, eating then. Another precursor to this is that I didn't really start drinking or getting accustomed to drinking until I started going to college and working at Starbucks. So at the time that this happened, I did not have a very high alcohol tolerance. So there was Patron there, and I think the only liquor that I remember drinking is really Patron, and I drink like a fish, so I don't have a sense of stopping. It's more so because I'm not used to drinking. Because I was not used to drinking, it was just kind of like, ooh, I like this feeling. I want this feeling to stay sustained. How do I sustain it? I'm gonna drink some more. That's how I'm gonna keep the feeling that I'm at now. I'm gonna drink some more. So that's basically the mindset that I had while the night was going on. So, okay. After that, 2 people that I did not know that were coming into the party. Let me rephrase that. 2 people that I knew, a guy and a girl. They're a couple. They were together. And I knew them both personally from school. And I did not know they were going to be at this event. So they had pulled up. They asked if I wanted to smoke. And I don't like saying the story.
Nah, I'm gonna explain why afterwards. Oh, unless you want to go ahead.
Oh, the reason why I don't like explaining the story because there are so many different things that I could have did differently for that to not have happened. So what were you gonna say?
Same thing. I feel like a lot of times when you ask a girl about their rape story or their sexual molestation story, and I think there's a very strong difference between those 2 words. They should never be even. Rape should not be under the category of sexual assault. Rape should be its own separate category, and then there should be sexual assault because people lump them together, and somebody will think, well, grabbing my ass is considered sexual assault, and that's similar to rape. And it's like they're not even close. A guy grabbing your breast, a guy kissing, a guy licking you. Those things do not fall anywhere close to what rape is. So I feel like when a lot of girls talk about their story, as they say the story, they see what they did that was wrong, and it's an interesting situation because it gets really deep. So girls like dominant guys, right? Now a rape guy would be quote dominant because he has to overpower the woman to rape her, right? Now similar characteristics to a rapist would be something that another girl or that a girl would like. A guy that's a rapist might be charming. He might be charismatic. He might be confident. He might be, maybe boisterous or he'll have similar characteristics to somebody that is a confident person, even though they're rooted in insecurity, and that can attract a woman. So she may see those signs and go and ignore the signs going up to that point because she's like, well, in Melissa's case, there wasn't an actual guy like that, but Melissa will see signs and go, well, I probably shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have done that. That doesn't sound, I should have done that. But these things only make sense because hindsight is 20/20. When she looks back on it from now, she could go, damn, that all of those things were wrong. Does that mean what happened or should have happened to her? No. But what it means is that there are a lot of steps in between what started and then what happened that could have been avoided. The decision that she made, like I said earlier, were leading her towards the path of something bad happening. If you, like I said, you always have those choices. You have choice A and choice B. Will choice A lead me to a path of safety? Will choice B lead me to a path of safety? Which one of these options will lead me to a path of safety? Drinking. Am I going to be safer if I'm drinking? Probably not. Am I going to be safer if I'm drinking and smoking? Probably not. Am I going to be safer if I'm drinking on an empty stomach? Probably not. Am I going to be safer if I'm at a party that I don't feel comfortable at? These are all things that go towards the sign of I will not be safe if I keep doing these things. Now, Melissa say, you know what? I'm not going to go to the party. That will help her become safer. Melissa say, you know what? I go to the party. I have only one drink. That'll help her become safer. If you go to the party and says, hey, you know what? I'm going to only stay with my friends or I'm going to only stay in the living room or wherever the people are at. These things will help her be safer. But it comes down to what decisions are you making throughout your day when you have a choice to be whatever your goal is. If your goal is to be safer, if your goal is to be more successful, are you going down the path that leads to that goal? So you want to say something? I felt like you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because the part that is really what I consider to be like fucked up about the situation is that the fact that a issue that I had was being I guess over trusting, because I felt like I was in a safe environment. It wasn't a big party. It was literally, I can count on my hands the amount of people that was there, and I knew every single one of them. Like I said, the two people that was involved in this, I used to spend time with them in school. One of them I sang with. We did a talent show together. We used to hang out like almost every day after school. We actually almost ended up talking at one point, and the reason why we didn't is because I did not want to have sex with him. And then the other person, I was very close to as well.
Red flag. Go.
So, and then on top of that, I did not know that they were going to be at this party. If I knew that they were going to be there, because I was not on good terms with them prior to it, I would not have went. And that's just kind of that's definitely what sucks about the situation. And then, yeah, at the time I was still lying to my parents about where I was. So I didn't want to go home drunk, because then I'm going to have to explain why I was drunk and where I was coming from, because it's not like I came from the Starbucks drunk, which isn't necessarily true, because I definitely came from the Starbucks drunk. But I didn't want to leave because it was too early for me to leave. I could get in trouble if I left at the time that I was going to leave at. And it was just a lot of different, because I'm lying. Because I'm lying, because I felt safe with the people that I thought was going to be there. They got there. Me and them actually had a conversation, and that's how we ended up actually going outside to smoke, because there was a problem that we had, an issue. We squashed it, and then they were like, oh, okay, do you want to smoke? That's how we ended up going outside. So at this point now, I'm crossfaded by the time we get back inside, and I have an iron deficiency. I am anemic. So with what I came to realize, and that's another thing too. Well, I don't think that people shouldn't drink or smoke. I don't think that they shouldn't, but I definitely think that before you get into it, before you go to an event, even if you do feel safe around the people that's there, you have to know how your body reacts to it. So I came to realize that weed especially makes me very tired. Weed on its own makes me tired. It could put me to sleep. It makes me feel sluggish. I think it has to do with my anemia, because there's not enough iron in my blood cells, so I don't get oxygen the same way. If you're going to inhale something that's not oxygen, it's going to make it harder for you to circulate. You're going to feel fatigued and want to pass out. And essentially that's what happened, in addition to me being crossfaded. And I didn't really know that would happen to me when all of this happened. So, and this comes from my lack of experience in that realm. So all the shit that could have went wrong on my part. All the decisions that I made, more or less, that would have put a barrier between that happening, wasn't there. That's what I would like to say.
Okay. So, and this is, and like I was saying earlier, I feel like when people, mostly women, when they replay the story in their head, they see the signs afterwards, like, damn, I shouldn't have done that. But then they don't want to take responsibility to say, what?
Because it's weird, because the signs didn't come from the rapist. It was like, it was things that I did to myself that lowered that lowered my safety, I guess.
Okay. Either way, the things that it's all similar. It doesn't have to be the person doing the thing. It's just if you were thinking about what would be considered dangerous for you. An example would be jumping off the roof, right? Now, if you said, I'm gonna jump off this roof without a parachute, that is your decision to do that. So that's similar to that. Nobody's forcing you to do that. You're committing a dangerous act by yourself. You going to a situation like that, drunk and high at the same time, and puts you feel uncomfortable. It's you're doing that, and then when you meet the person that will take advantage of you at that point, it's like if you jump off this roof, right, and you're not wearing a parachute, you'll probably die, right? Now, if you were to jump off this roof and you didn't know that somebody had, a blow up thing down here to save you, you'd be fine. But you don't know that until you jump off the roof. So your job is to make as many steps as possible until you get to that last step, which in that case would have been the floor. In his case, it would have been him. Does that make sense?
No, I don't think that one sticks.
Okay, so let me see. You have to do the things that keep you safe until you run into a situation where you won't be safe.
Okay.
So,
yeah, okay, I understand that.
Right. So it's like you're doing things that are making you unsafe. So if you had done a bunch of things that made you safe, when you finally confronted the person that's unsafe, you would have been fully in your right mind. You might not even been there in the first place. You might have been somewhere else doing something else. When you finally ran, you would have ran to them and been like, you know what, I'm leaving here. I'm going home, or I don't want to talk to you.
Yeah.
But because you were already doing things that made you unsafe, when you finally got to the thing that was really bad, that happened. So like I said, this comes down to when I said before, some people have mental problems. So he's going to take advantage of her when she's in that state. But if she can prevent herself from getting into a state that allows him to take advantage of her, it helps to keep her safer. And I think that is this is why I say it's on the onus of women, because people are crazy. I don't think that guy I don't think you can go to him and be like, yo, bro, you know you shouldn't rape girls, right? Like, that's not good. I don't think he'll be like, damn, you're right, fam. I'm going to stop doing that shit. Like, I'm going to stop taking advantage of women. It's not going to happen because he's already fucked up. What happened?
Because, so I understand how that would apply to a situation like mine, where, I was bugging. And the reason why I said that I was bugging too is because I wouldn't carry myself like that today. I wouldn't do that. Besides the point, I don't really know how this would apply to someone that wasn't in a situation where there was drugs involved, to where like something like forcibly happens to them.
What's an example?
Because what if you are leaving a track meet and heading home, and someone grabs you right before you get on the bus or something?
Are you going by yourself? Because if you use that as an example, my sister ran track, and I was with girls who ran track in high school. They was rarely just walking by themselves. They leave as a group.
That's true.
So it's like you go, if a girl is walking, all right, guys, I'm leaving. The meet ends at 9:30. You gonna walk across Van Cortlandt by yourself?
I mean, at some point, I'm assuming everybody don't live on the same block. At some point, you have to separate.
Right, but I feel like all your job is to do is put yourself in a situation where you have the least likely amount of possibility of something happening. So like in your situation at the party, it's okay, I will scratch that. With the example of the track girl, let's say they all go into the same area. They all go into a track meet, but when they leave, they go into different areas, right? I get off the bus. I'm by myself. I'm not gonna walk on the shady side of the street. I'm not gonna walk over there where there's no lights. I'm not gonna walk over there. I can ask my dad to come get me. I'm gonna make sure that I know how to get back. I'll make sure that I either leave the meet at a certain time. I can get a cab to get to my house, depending on how far I live from the bus stop. Like, I can run home. Like, there's different things I can do that go, okay, how can I reduce the possibility of something happening? You're not going to eliminate it because things always happen. But all you can do is say, okay, I know people are crazy. How can I just prevent myself from interacting when I meet that crazy person? Not even that. When that crazy person enters my space, I need to make sure that they have the least amount of chance or the least probability of chance of doing something to me.
So how do you do that? Because let's say that you do, you don't walk on the shady side of the street. You don't wear provocative clothing and all of that stuff. Because things happen to people in churches and schools and all of that stuff. So like,
yeah, but I don't. What's happening in the school and in the church? Like, is it? I don't think that a girl in church is walking down the street and somebody just. I don't think a girl is walking down the hallway of a church, a guy works at the church grabs her and rapes her.
Why not? Because
it's the environment for that. It doesn't fit that kind of that. Like, I'm walking down. There's a guy that I know that works here. He just raped me at church. It's not. I'm not saying it's impossible. Okay, molesting.
Or sexually assaulting.
There's, like I said, you can't stop it from happening. There's zero chance of you stopping it from happening. There's nothing you can do.
So then how do you take responsibility for that? For something that you can't stop from happening? You
try to limit the possibility of it happening.
Okay.
So you go, what can I do to that this possibly does not happen to me? Mm-hmm. And that's how I say take responsibility for it.
So when you say take responsibility for it, you mean try to limit it as much as you can from happening.
Yeah. As instead of being like, I'm gonna do whatever I want because guys rape.
What do you mean?
So instead of thinking to myself, well, I shouldn't change my behavior because guys rape. So I'm gonna walk on the shady side of the street in the middle of the night. I'm gonna be drunk and faded because guys shouldn't rape me.
I don't think people think like that.
I think it's more of an omission thing. They don't think of it. So they think more so of, they don't think about the possibility of getting raped. I think that every girl should think that could happen. So when they think it could happen, they approach the situation differently. If I tell you that we're going to a party and there's 5 rapists here, you're going to act real different in the party than if I told you everybody here is a Christian, loving family. You're going to just approach it differently because you're like, oh, okay, they may still rape, but when you go into it, you're acting differently. If you go into it and I tell you everybody here's a rapist, you're going to be like, everybody's a rapist? I'm standing right up against this corner right here, and if anybody comes close to me, I'm leaving out the door. If anybody even comes near me, I'm going out the door.
And that's how you should act all the time?
You should, no. In a situation where there's a bunch of rapists in the room, yes.
But how do you know that?
If somebody tells you that there are 5 rapists in this room, I think you should act like that.
Okay.
But in a regular situation, I think you should take precautions to not have that happen. I don't think what happened to you. What precautions do you think that you took in that situation? If you had to ask yourself, what
precautions that I took?
Did you take in that?
No.
Why not?
Like I said, I had that sense of security. I felt like I would be safe there. It was not, and especially in that situation, because it's like what you said. If I was going to a club, that would not have been how I was acting. But I wasn't going to a club. I'm thinking, okay, this is a small confined set group of people that I'm going to be around. I'm familiar with all these people. A lot of them are females. Nothing bad should happen to me here. But it did.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. The same thing with the example of the church, where if somebody told you it's a church environment, you're like, okay, I won't get raped. And it's like, you can still get raped here at the church, but you should still be precautious. Maybe you would take different precautions because of what I said, but I still think you should still be in your mind that I could possibly get raped here. And in your situation, I don't think that you thought I might get raped here.
I definitely didn't. Because like I said, it's like, it's so weird because I guess another thing too, prior than Donivan's whole thing is that if a guy is talking to you, that means that they want to fuck. If an opposite sex is talking to you, that means they want to fuck. That's not how I was going through life. I was thinking like, okay, these are my friends. These are my bros. This is this, that. So.
And I mean, statistically, I'm pretty sure the numbers say that most rapes happen by people that you know.
Yeah, definitely.
Right. So isn't that it's ironic that you think that when you're around people that you know, you're less likely to get raped, even though statistics show the people that are gonna rape you are the people that you do know. So you would be. That's what I'm saying. So you should, according to statistics, be more comfortable at a club than you would at a house party with people that you know, because you're less likely to get raped at the club because you don't know them.
I wouldn't even necessarily say that because there's more people there.
But I'm saying statistically, like if people that you know are gonna be the ones that rape you, if you're around people that you don't know, you're probably gonna get raped less. Do you disagree?
I don't know. It's funny.
What?
It's a cognitive dissonance because in my head, when you think of rape, when you see it on the TV, it's usually like a serial rapist or someone that puts a date drug in your drink, like a stranger or something like that. And I'm just like, but what you're saying is correct. Like, if the statistics say that this is more likely to happen with people that you know, then you should be cautious around people that you know. But my brain is like, why would someone I know do that?
They feel more comfortable. And this is the difference. This is why I think that the rape conversation has a lot of nuance to it. Because even like you just said, when it's somebody that you know, they probably don't see it as rape. Because in their, they probably see it as like, oh, we was flirting, you hugged me and stuff. And you're playing with me. Like when I try to hug you and you say no, oh, you just playing. Like when I grab your butt and you say, yo, stop it, John. Like you're playing. Because I know you. We have a relationship. But if I'm a rapist, I know if I'm a random rapist, any interaction with you, there's no joking. I know I'm trying to rape. Like, we both know I'm trying to rape you. Mm-hmm. So, but if it's with a friend, it's kind of like, he's like, oh, come on, you playing? Like, let me grab your butt, let me kiss on your neck. Like, why are you doing that? Like, turn over, come here. Like, it's more of that than it is, bitch, get on the ground, punch her in the, it's not really that.
But that's what you think rape is.
Yeah, and that's why it's weird, because I think that girls should treat the friends that they have like the rapist, a random rapist, when the situation happens.
And I think so. So this is, I think, okay. It has to do with the agreeableness,
which is on the topic. Agreeableness.
I know. That's how, like, this is a good segue into it. And do you want to say what agreeableness is?
You can say it.
Because, well, what I think agreeableness is basically like, you know, to the females out there, if you ever experienced this, when you don't want to get like somebody in trouble, or you don't want to cause any issues or stir the pot. You don't really want to create. You kind of tolerate more bullshit in a sense, because it's weird. It's so weird, the agreeableness thing, because the reason why you would tolerate, I guess, a guy friend doing a bit too much, or if you were to call out a guy every single time that they do something that you feel is disrespectful, that you feel like is crossing a boundary or something like that, then they gaslight you, and it's like, oh, you're bugging me. Why you acting like that? Why you responding to me like that? And you honestly shouldn't be around that person.
Yeah, right. Yes.
But
yes. And
if that's the response that you get, you should not be around that person.
And this is earlier why I said it was a red flag, when Melissa said that I wanted to have sex with the guy. He stopped talking to me because when Melissa said the guy wanted to have sex with her and she stopped talking to him, I'm gonna try this a third time. Melissa said that the guy wanted to have sex with her. So because she said no, they stopped talking. Now, I think that were y'all friends?
We were talking.
Oh yeah, we're talking.
We were talking at that point. But the time that this situation happened was way after that. And
I don't know if that's a bad thing, though. Really.
If what?
If him not talking to you because you don't have sex is a bad thing. I feel like, at least, did he tell you that, or he just kind of happened after?
I felt uncomfortable talking to him, so I stopped talking to him, because you keep asking me for this thing, and I keep telling you, no, I'm not doing it.
Oh, yeah, that's kind of weird. Yeah. Yeah. But I forgot I was relating that to something that you said. You were saying something about... Oh,
it's a red flag.
Yeah, but I was saying it was a red flag because when you have those boundaries and you tell... Especially if you tell somebody the boundaries. I don't really have much remorse for somebody, or for girls who get in a situation and they say, well, I didn't tell them I don't like this. Because then how do you expect the guy to know that? Like, people like to say, well, the body language should tell you that the girl doesn't like that. But a lot of people who have sex know that girls like a physical guy during sex. Girls like a guy to be dominant. Girls like a guy, and girls like to play coy. Oh no, stop, don't do. And that is a problem. But my issue with that is, I think that behavior comes from women in general. It's innate. And that's why it's a really odd dynamic, because I believe that girls want to be dominated by the guy that they trust. But because girls want to be dominated innately, every guy thinks that they should be dominating women, and it doesn't work like that. It's the girl goes, it's almost like BDSM, where a girl goes, okay, I trust you to spank me, and I trust you to do these things to me, so it's okay that you're doing these things to me. But if you tell your friend that, and your friend goes, oh, your girl's like being tied up, and then he comes over and ties your girl up, it's like, bro, what are you doing? And you're like, well, she likes it. And it's like, not from you. She doesn't want that from you. She likes to get spanked, and some girls like getting spit on, or whatever other sexual things that people would deem as what?
Oh, I'm like, not that one.
whatever things that the majority of people publicly would say, I don't want to do that, happen in the bedroom. And when that happens, guys think that they could just do that to all the women. And not even that they think that the women should be okay with them doing that to them. I don't think it's a problem to think that you can do it to women. I think that you shouldn't think that you a girl is almost obligated to accept whatever you give her because you're a man. I don't think she should have, the woman should be like, okay, you spit on me and I'm a woman, I have to take that. It's like, nah, I like when my last boyfriend did it. I don't like when you did it though.
Beta.
What? But yeah, in terms of what?
Brave New World. That's what the Beta Pluses were basically.
Or what?
The Beta Plus was there for your pleasure.
Yeah, exactly. Brave New World, we watched it on Peacock. It's a new, I don't know if it's a new streaming site, but yeah. And I think that is one of the big problems. And this comes, which is funny because that's actually funny. It's like an alpha beta, like in a beta male situation. Yeah, I'm gonna have to come back to that deeper, regardless. So I don't think that a guy should feel as though a woman is obligated to accept what he's giving to her. And because women want to be dominated, men think that you have to accept my dominance because I'm a man. And it's like, no, you are a man, but you are not the man that I want to accept to dominate me. You don't I'm not giving you that access. So don't think that you deserve that. So when it comes to guys who decide to step over those boundaries, I have a problem with women who don't say something about it, because I feel like you should treat, and I tell Melissa this all the time, if a guy you're talking to, and whether it doesn't have to be in a sexual manner, a friend that she's talking to crosses those boundaries, treat him the same way you would treat a random rapist. Start, hey, what are you doing? Don't touch me. What's wrong with, do that, because when you do that, it'll let him know, oh wow, like you have put up an actual barrier of, I don't want you to touch me like that. So now it shocks the guy's brain into letting him, you pretty much put the guy in a category of, you are a random rapist with the act that you just did. Do not do that. As opposed to, stop it, John. Oh my God, John. Oh my, stop. Because now he's like, yeah, you like this. Because you're not treating me like a rapist. You treating me like a regular friend that's hugging on you and kissing on you. And you being all, I mean, it comes across as flirtatious. But in your mind, and I don't know how much true this is, but in your mind, girls will say, well, I wanted him to stop, but I didn't know how to say it, and I kind of didn't want it. But I think the problem with that is girls, like, it's so complicated. Girls want to be dominated, and when the guy is exhibiting those qualities, girls will accept it because that's what they want. But when the guy starts crossing the line, the girl doesn't actually say something to him, so he keeps going with it. How you feel about that statement?
I don't know how true it is.
Okay, what do you mean? No, I have an example. We're gonna go back to the guy that was rubbing on your breast. So
What guy was rubbing on my breast?
the guy when you went to
No one was rubbing on my breast.
So
Oh my God.
So Melissa went to St. John's, and the guy there was rubbing on her stomach. Right now, I have said that
Don't have the image in the head of him going like this for a long period of time.
you see how she changed it and said long period, because that's exactly what he was doing before a short period of time. You see how she put the word long in there because she wanted you to. She's like, he was doing this, but it wasn't for long. But he was still doing this motion where he's rubbing on your stomach, like she was pregnant. Right now, you had a crush on him, yes?
No.
You were attracted to him.
Not by my definition of attractive. By
Okay.
Donovan's definition of attractive, you can say yes. Donovan's definition of attractive is just a person that you fuck with or you like being around.
Mm-hmm.
Just so if you're friends with someone, you're attracted to them because they have to have qualities that you like in order for y'all to be friends.
Okay, that's partially true. The reason why I partly also disagree with that is because you let him rub your stomach. I don't know what would you call that?
So it happened a lot faster than my brain could keep up with.
You don't even believe that. This is why guys who don't know about women get caught up, because they'll do stuff like this, right? Where they go, my brain wasn't processing fast enough. I believe that she.
Okay. Because then I also have to think about it in terms of this. If he was a homeless guy and he was getting that close to me, that wouldn't have happened.
Right.
I would have hopped out the way. Would have jumped. If I thought his hands was dirty. If she did not want him to do it,
he would not have done it.
Well, I guess that is a true statement.
Right. So my thing is, and as a guy, I
hate this podcast so fucking.
I'm fully aware.
Why you gotta air me out in front of all this? Watch. The title about to be some, my
girlfriend got raped. Here's a story. Story time. But
oh my god.
So like I said, this is where there's a disconnect between women and society, because what they want on an emotional level is not always what they want on a logical level, and that's where the problem comes in, because me and her are dating. She doesn't plan on having sex with this guy. There's no intention. She did not meet up with him and say in her mind, we're about to go have sex right now. That's not what happened. However, her body was thinking, her emotional side was thinking, her emotional side was, okay, I'm attracted to this guy. So let's say we're gonna go back to earlier when I said decisions that go towards path A or path B. So this is the problem. Melissa's emotional decisions were leading her towards the path of having sex with him. That's what her emotional decisions were doing. Her logical decisions were not doing that. But the problem is, you cannot always pinpoint which decisions are emotional or not. They usually are the ones you don't have to think about. So when Melissa met up, because Melissa went to the school and called him to then meet up with her. So that already lets me know that when she got there, she was thinking about him and then wanted to see this person. Then when the person comes to see her, which is, like I said, the emotional response. When you are working off of the emotional response of a woman, this is how you know how to bag women. So once Melissa called this guy, emotional response for her pussy to get fucked by him, right?
So I just want to put a disclaimer out there. When Donivan, I need to, I'm going to come up with a glossary for the podcast so you understand what Donivan is saying when he says these words. So when he says the last shit he just said about wanting to have sex, basically what he's saying is that on the steps from A to Z, because there are steps in between people having a sexual interaction, what that interaction between me and this young man would have been a C going to D, and yes. Z is sex.
Yes. So exactly. So
you say exactly because I know you. Listen. Like y'all would think that he's wildin', but
so, listen. So this is the thing. This I was saying earlier. If I was to ask Melissa to write down the steps of leading to a path of you not having sex with this guy, what would that path consist of?
What do you mean? Like in that situation?
In general.
You mean not having sex with a guy?
With that guy.
With that guy.
Mm-hmm. What steps would you take so that you guys don't have sex?
I wouldn't go anywhere stationary with him alone. So like a hotel.
Any steps? Any steps?
What do you mean?
So starting from A to Z, your goal is to prevent any steps from getting to the path.
That's impossible, Donivan.
No, it's not. I'm explaining.
You would have to not be around them.
Exactly. That's my point. But
that's not
I'm listening.
Put your neck back.
I'm listening.
Put your neck back.
I'm listening.
Your neck all the way out here for what? That is not an ideal situation all the time.
Okay.
Because what if I had to work with you in some type of capacity? What if I had class with you?
So
then
yes.
The steps, it wouldn't be me not being around you at all. If we have to work on a project together,
if I said, if your goal, if I told you you're gonna get $100 million if you guys never have sex, what would you do to prevent that from happening?
I wouldn't be around you.
You would say we have a what together? Teacher, I need a new partner. I can't work with him. I got a job. Nah, I can't. Boss, I need to move. I can't be around this person. I don't want to be nowhere near this person. Those are the steps that somebody would take to not have sex with somebody. Now, if you wanted to fuck somebody, right, the steps you would take to fuck them would be get closer to them. You would call them on the phone when you're in the area for them to come see you. You would let them touch you. You would hang out with them by yourself. You would hang out with them in the dark. You would hang out with them at night. Let them undress you. You would talk about sex. These are the things that you would do if you were going to the path of, I want to fuck this person. So as for me, I look at it like this. Anytime I see a small step of what it is, we starting at A. Is A going to this person? Is A going to the path of we might have sex or we could have sex? Or B, we will never have sex. What is the path that we're going down? So when I hear, it's little things. When I hear, I called him when I got there. I'm like, all right, from A to B. And when I saw him, he rubbed my stomach. I'm like, all right, we from B to F. I'm like...
F is because he broke the touch barrier.
Right, exactly. And not only did he break it, Melissa didn't say anything to him about breaking the touch barrier. So now we're just going more and more down the path of getting fucked.
I left. That was my response to him doing that.
Because Melissa was on the phone with me. That is the only reason.
I would have left as well.
Sure, not as quickly. The only reason that interaction went that way is because I was on the phone. Now, when I say that, I do not mean that if I wasn't on the phone, it was going to be, yo, wait, you got to have sex right now. No, I don't think it was going to be that. However, there would have been a lot more smaller cues to lead from A to having sex. There would have been more giggles when they were talking to each other. There would have been more hugging. There would have been more touching. Not have to be sexual touching. It would have been more touching. It would have been more, hey, how about I'll call you later.
See, I would say that. I feel like the next step in that situation would be for him to try and solidify a time period for us to both hang out.
Yeah, or that same day. Like, let's go to the lunchroom together. See, you can see her face did like a little thing because she knows exactly what would have happened.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, I'm about to head to so-and-so. Come with me. All
right, let's go. And now,
that's me.
Right, as y'all are walking there, it's like, hey, what's going on? Now, if he knows game, he's running game, he's touching you, he's doing everything to do, he's doing all of this stuff. Now,
and to throw this out there too, because it's funny. This is, yeah. Hey man, I don't know why I ain't have this information. Because looking back at my past behavior, I was kind of wildin'. Not like overtly wildin', but just I didn't realize what I felt like were little actions on my part.
What signs you were giving out?
What I felt like were little actions on my part, how they would be perceived by other people.
Right, and this is what I talked about earlier when I talked about getting raped. If you have to understand what can possibly happen, how can this be perceived as? You will not know every perception of every person, but all you can do is limit the perception that other people may incorrectly have. Not even. I wouldn't say that because that's still a very infinite and very difficult task. I think what?
Yeah, because I'm like I'm wearing this right now. But if I went outside like this, is this me? Like.
No, but you might go from A to C.
What's that?
People looking at you sexually. But you can still take steps back. You can still put up barriers there.
Yeah.
But you already are going in that direction. But you don't have to get to Z. You can hang out and live in C and live in D your whole life. You don't have to get to Z, which is getting raped. You don't have to get there. But some people will perceive you as a person that could possibly get raped. They'll be like, well, she got raped because she was wearing that outside. So some people will still see that as a possibility for that.
But that doesn't. That's not a okay.
Yeah, it doesn't mean that you're gonna get raped now. Mm-hmm. But now, if you told me, all right, I'm going outside, I'm about to drink at 2:00 in the morning, I'm gonna wear this, and I'm hanging out with some hood dudes I never met before, I'm gonna be like, that don't sound safe. Like, do you know these people? Nah, I met them outside yesterday.
Okay, so what do you so for people that are living in the A to D, A to C realm, they what they would do to keep themselves safe would be
okay. So I think this comes back to there's a term for this. It's almost similar to like a balancing act or an equality act, where if you're at D, right, and D for you would be wearing a bralette outside. They call it a C. I feel like it's more of a C. When somebody approaches you, you have to go to negative letters.
Oh, you would have to overcompensate.
Right. You have to be like, yo, what the fuck are you? Don't touch me.
Okay.
Like, bro, I'm not wearing a shirt and you touching my arms. Like, I need you to take a step back.
Okay. I think that's better.
So I think that's how it would be.
Because I think a fear that a lot of women have is being assertive or saying something like that, but then having to deal with whatever negative repercussion comes from the guy. Because what if I say that to him and I highly doubt it, but he punches me in the face?
You didn't get raped. So it's like, what's the worst? It always comes down to what are you trying to avoid? What is the end goal you don't want to happen? You don't want to get raped. So getting punched in the face is way less than getting raped. So if I asked you, would you rather get raped or punched in the face? You'd be like, punch me in the face. Punch me in the face right now. I don't want to get raped. And you go, okay.
I want neither. I don't want to get punched in the face or raped.
Then you got to take actions to prevent that.
So is there a certain tone that you would have to say it in? Like,
yeah, I wouldn't. What I said for me is my guy voice saying it. It would more so be like, I prefer that you don't touch me. I'm not wearing any clothes and I don't know you.
I mean, they be feeling like I be feeling like I'm wearing clothes.
What?
I'm wearing clothes. Clothes. You said I'm not wearing any clothes.
I meant I'm talking about thinking about your arms. Like,
okay,
you're touching my bare skin, and I'm not wearing any clothes on my bare skin.
Okay.
So like, if a guy came up to you right now and if a guy came up to you right now and like touched you right over here, it would probably be uncomfortable.
What are you doing?
Right. You'd be like, exactly. But if you was wearing like a puffer jacket, you would feel uncomfortable, but it would be a lot less comfortable because you're that. What happened?
I was thinking about something that I think is a really good thing to do in that situation is just like literally say to them what they're doing.
Right.
Like,
That's,
listen,
yes.
I am 21 years old and you are touching my arm and I don't know you. Why are you doing that? Not even why are you doing that. Just say the statement.
Right, and say I'm uncomfortable. Like, I think that is the best possible solution because you're being neutral. Because you're explicitly stating what's happening. Sir, I do not know who you are. My skin is out. You are touching me and you are making me feel uncomfortable. Or not even that. I don't even say that part. Sir, my skin is out. I do not know you, and I feel uncomfortable when you touch me.
Oh, taking the you out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, I feel uncomfortable.
Excuse me. Because once you put you in there or make it about them, the person becomes defensive or combative or feel like you're trying to attack them.
Right. So you have to try and be as neutral as possible. And the more neutral you are, the less likely they are to want to push back because they don't feel like they're being attacked. If you say something like, you're making me feel uncomfortable. Now, if they're offended by that, they go, no, bitch, why are you wearing that? You shouldn't have been wearing that in the first place. That's the fucking problem. You shouldn't have been wearing that. And it's like, now you get in an argument about saying, well, I should be able to wear whatever I want. You can avoid all of that if you stay neutral. Sir, I do not know you. You are touching me. I feel uncomfortable. How did he respond to that? Because he's going to say that's not true? Is he going to tell you that he's not touching you? That you're not uncomfortable? Probably what will happen is, and this is come down to the agreeableness. Girls will not do this. Probably what will happen is he'll go, yo, I didn't even do that. Like, I didn't know. And then
I didn't mean it like that.
Right. Exactly. I didn't. And then what will happen is they'll try and approach you in a better way. Like, hey, look, I apologize. My name is John, and I'd rather. And you can be like, listen, John, I understand that, I have a boyfriend, or John, I'm not interested. I wouldn't say I'm not interested. I would just say, John, you can have the conversation at that point, or you can just say, look, John, I guess I'm not interested right now. I think that's a better way to put it. I always like to say right now after things because you never know what could happen. And I think when you say I'm not interested, I think when somebody says the words I'm not interested, I think it has a negative effect on people because it means that something is wrong with them. So like for me, if I'm walking down the street and somebody has money, that's not what I meant to say. If I'm walking down the street and somebody asks me for money, I'll say, I don't have it right now. Or not today. That's what I'll say, not today. Because one day I might give it to them. I'm not saying I'll never give it to you. And you don't know. What if this guy you just met on the street becomes real successful? He changes his whole life around. You meet him again one day in 15 years. And he's like, I remember you that day in front of, MSG. And we were talking. And now you're like, oh, you look good. Like, you're the same person that owned the bit. Like, okay, we could talk now. You approach me differently. Let's have this conversation. So me personally, this is just how I think a woman should approach it. It's just by saying, look, I am not interested in anybody right now. And the guy goes, all right. So in his mind, like, okay, well, not right now. Cool. Maybe one day. And you don't know the future. So saying one day is possible. It's like, all right, possibly one day. We don't know. But right now, the answer is no. And I think that will help a lot of girls to become safe in situations. Now, if anybody tries this, please, you comment, let me know, because I see it with myself when talking to other guys, when just trying to be as neutral as possible. It allows people to be less offended by situations. Even when I talk to Melissa, if I'm talking to my mom or anybody else, I try to be neutral because, and it's not perfect, but like I said, you want to be as close to neutral as possible because it allows you to have a more genuine interaction with people. The more neutral every sentence you say is, the better interaction will be. So another part, the agreeableness conversation that we're having right now came up because we were listening to a Jordan Peterson clip from the Joe Rogan podcast, and he was talking about, I don't even know what Joe Rogan, it wasn't even Joe Rogan, he was talking about the wage gap. Yeah, he's talking about the wage gap between men and women, and he was saying that the reason that women get paid less is not because it's the only reason that they get paid less, not because they're women. That is one of the reasons. Another reason is that they have a trait of agreeableness, and they are okay with getting paid what they get paid, and they don't choose to go and fight for. Ah, shit. Do you think you could? I don't know if that's gonna fix it. Can you tap my face on there? Cause I feel like the square is not on my face. The yellow square.
Mm-hmm. It is.
What's that? What's that in the top left-hand corner?
That's nothing.
Oh, okay.
It's a line that
Bruh.
shows you the stable.
Bruh, it's this.
I'm gonna.
So what was I saying? So right, the agreeableness. And that is why women get paid less, because they don't want to deal with the confrontation of arguing with another guy, particularly about getting paid more. They'd rather just be like, you know what, I got paid $10,000, I'll get paid $10,000, that's fine. I don't really want to argue more about it. And one of the examples of this is Aaliyah's face, who had a situation where she was taking pictures in her lobby, and her security guard took a picture of the camera that he was watching of her taking pictures. So I'm gonna try and say that in a simpler way. The security guard was watching footage of her, like actual live footage of her taking pictures of herself in the lobby, and he took a picture of the screen of her and then posted it on Twitter, and then made a comment about influencers or Instagram models or something like that about her, and then he posted it on Twitter, and then it went viral because people figured out who it was, and then when that happened, they figured out her address behind it.
Yeah.
And she was upset because she feels like, oh, you know, I'm not safe now because people know where I live. People are sending me my address. People are sending me a picture next to my house. And this is what I believe. I don't think that anybody that's doing that is actually going to try and come and do anything to you. Is it possible? Yes. But I don't, the fact that somebody would send you a tweet or an Instagram DM of your house and then rob you, it's almost saying like, hey, FBI, I'm the person that robbed her. So it's just people trying to feel like they have power over her.
Because that it might not be that person. I think the scary thing about it is that if this person can figure this out from this information that's out there, that means that if somebody does want to hurt me, they can figure this out too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with that. I feel like, I don't think the person sending pictures. My official statement, my original statement was, I don't think the people sending the pictures and sending the address are the ones who will do anything to her. Mm-hmm. I do think that if somebody were to try something, it would be somebody that did not do that. But she was talking about how she was scared. Now, she would also say, which I have a problem with, she didn't want to get the guy fired because, you know, he probably didn't mean it. People do people watch, and she people watches also. She said something along the lines of she didn't want to deal with that, and talking to management and things like, he's a nice guy, and they had conversations before. Now, I think if she is as uncomfortable as she said she was, that she should have that guy fired. Because if he is the reason that having fired, 1 and 2 move, if he is the reason why people know your address, he should not be there anymore. He's clearly not doing his job right. And anybody that's put in that position after him would probably be told what happened before and how they have to increase their security. And if she really wants, she can go and sue the building and get money for that. Now, if that happens, I can almost guarantee that there will be a rule for that apartment complex that says you are not allowed to post people's address or pictures of them online. If you do so, we will fire you and sue you ourselves, and possibly hold what is it, a civil lawsuit, or I think it's a civil lawsuit. Which one is? No, civil is not money. Civil is money. I think the other one is not money. So we will definitely take action against you for doing that. But I have a problem with this because I think that girls are too agreeable. Now, here's the flip side of that. According to the clip that we watched of Jordan Peterson, he was saying that the reason that women are so agreeable is because they have that trait to raise children, and that is a positive trait when having children and raising them. I don't know how. I'm not really sure how it is.
You're more tolerant. You're more likely to give them, because since you're
that makes sense.
To raise a child, you have to condition them, so you have to kind
I
of.
like that word better.
What?
Tolerant instead of agreeableness.
Oh, okay.
Because you're more tolerable of people touching you, people crossing your boundaries. Because you're not agreeing to them really stepping over your boundaries. You're just tolerating it. So a guy is grabbing you, you're like, all right, I don't really like this, but I can tolerate this until it stops. That's what I think it is. What do you think about that word?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the word. I think it's the word that describes females.
Agreeable or tolerable?
Being tolerant.
Oh, tolerant. Because I don't think it's agreeableness. I feel like agreeable, like I said before, is you consenting. I feel like agreeing is consenting.
I think in the workplace, that's how it works. Because no, you're right. Because you're tolerating. How to explain it? Because you have to be, so when it comes to child raising, you have to be more tolerant of the fact that, you know, the kid probably doesn't know what they're doing. They're not that smart. They're still learning and all of that stuff. They'll bite you or something like that. They don't mean it that way. So you just kind of have to understand that, you know, when your child throws your laptop across the room or something like that, they're just being a kid.
Yeah, and that probably explains, because I believe that I have a tolerable side. I think my tolerable level is pretty high. And sometimes I also question myself and ask, why am I not more upset about things? I'm more so to be like, I don't really care. My attitude is like, yo, it's not that serious. It's whatever.
And that's how females are.
Yeah, and I was raised by my mom the majority of my time until I was second grade probably. Up until that point, I was mostly living with my mom, and then I went back and forth between my mom and my dad, and then I stayed with my mom for a couple of months and things like that. But I definitely remember being around women a lot, and that probably explains, because like I said, if I'm in the park and something happens, I'm more likely to be like, I don't have that immediate reaction to start wilding. That's not my reaction to things. I think that I have a point that I can reach, but I always say about myself is that I have a very long fuse. But I also think my explosion is kind of excessive. But I think before I ever get to that point, I'm almost like I don't really care. I'd rather cut somebody off than really have to put up with stuff for long periods of time. Like, you want to say something? Okay. So I think that's interesting to think about that because I definitely feel like I have that trait of it. And I wonder if this is why it's good to have both parents in your household, because you're able to have the agreeableness and I feel like that might explain your situation. But I feel like all women aren't like that. But I also feel like
my mom and my grandma are very dominant.
Yeah.
Or to me, at least.
Yeah, I wouldn't say but I think that how you see them interact with people is probably not dominant. Like I don't know who your grandmother is with, but is she agreeable with them? Because she's not really interacting with people like that, as far as I know. I don't.
She goes to work, but I'm
saying, do you see that? Like maybe she talks about it.
Well, my mom. I know that my mom be wildin'.
Wait, before you say that, and I think this is why the stigma behind women is that they do jobs like childcare and they do jobs like secretary work, because that job requires you to have a certain level of tolerance for the bullshit you have to deal with, and an average guy is not going to put up with incompetent boss because they feel like, yo, I'm better than you at that, you're dumb, I'm not doing that. But a woman would more likely to be like, okay, like I think you're dumb, but let's, you know, it doesn't affect me as much, or I'm going to continue to keep working for you, because it doesn't trigger them the same way as it would a guy.
And it also depends on the female too. But the agreeableness or the that being tolerant trait is there. It just varies from woman to woman, because that situation is weird. I've only had 3 jobs: Models, Victoria's Secret, and Starbucks, and at Victoria's Secret, I was definitely more tolerant, but I didn't like working there, so I was looking for another job. Starbucks, I feel like that's when I started exercising. I guess, what would you call the opposite of that?
Of tolerance? I mean, I would say staunchness of like saying, "Yo, I don't like this. This is where I draw the line." That's what I would say.
I think I was exercising my boundaries more at Starbucks, to where, and also seeing where what I didn't like doing. I'm like, bro, I'm doing all this stuff. I'm acting like a supervisor, and y'all not paying me that much. That don't make no sense. I'm not doing that. And I was the only female promoted out of the candidates that was presented. It was 2 guys and then me, and I was the only one that got the job. So it's just weird because in my head I'm like, what you? In my head I'm like, I was promoted and I feel like I'm a very like kind of soft person, but I wasn't being tolerable, or I wasn't being tolerant to my situation while I was working there.
Yeah. So yeah, that's interesting. So yeah, with Leah's face, she was saying, and this, I feel like I want to talk to more women in situations like this because I get confused. I really don't understand why they are so scared. Because whenever I have a one-on-one with them, it's usually something that's irrational. The girl, Aaliyah's face, said that she lives in an apartment complex where they have the packages delivered, and she has not gone to get her packages because she's scared to go downstairs and get them. And I'm like, I feel like that's excessive. So she calls her boyfriend to come over to get her packages for her, and it's just kind of like, I feel like that's over the top. I feel like that's overreacting. But again, this all, to my opinion, stems from the surgeries that she has, the lip injections, and everything else. Because her underlying confidence is not there. She's built up a person or a persona on top of that. But when something like this happens, you see the actual person, where it comes down to, okay, I'm actually afraid. I get to a point where I'm so afraid now that I can't even go to my basement to get my packages because somebody put my address out there. And not even put my address. Some people know where my address is. But you start thinking about the facts. You're in an apartment complex. What are the odds somebody that's gonna come and grab you in your apartment complex? In my situation, for me, my storage, my locker things in the basement. There are cameras down there. I would assume that her apartment is better than my apartment. So I don't even know if it would be in the basement. I don't know how what the foot traffic is like. But I think it's very weird that she is afraid to go to her basement to get her own packages and calls her boyfriend to do that. So like I said, because I'm a guy, I don't have to worry about necessarily getting raped. It's not something that really crosses my mind. I don't really understand what kind of fear that instills in somebody. Like if somebody came to my apartment here and they was outside my door, I'd just be like, what are you doing here? I don't don't come to my house. You probably don't do this. This is not a good thing to do. Why did you think it would be a good idea to come to my house? And I mean, and I'm assuming that it's a non-violent person, I guess. So if somebody saw me on the street and was like, aren't you DonivanGray? I know where you live. I'm a rob you. I'm gonna rob you. That's what happens to guys. They get robbed. Yeah, and beat up. So like,
no, they gonna rape you too.
I guess like Pop Smoke. I guess I'll be like that. In that situation. But in that situation, you have people who are trying to find you.
I mean, if somebody pulls up to her apartment complex, they had to try to find her.
No. I mean, she has people in possible situation. I'm assuming the people wanted to kill him, but like they were trying to find out how to kill him. Like I don't think Aaliyah's face has people who are like, I'm trying to rape her. Like I just need to find the right opportunity to rape. I don't think that's happening.
I think the people that probably want to fuck her.
Yeah, but I don't think that fucking and wanting to rape is two different things. I think people are actually trying to kill Pop Smoke. People are like, where is he at? I want to kill him. Oh, he's there? I know where to go to kill him. I don't think people are like, where's Aaliyah's face? I want to find out where she lives.
Said it only takes one person.
Yeah, but I don't think that that's a thing. Like, because I don't. In his situation, I feel like he knows that people are trying to kill him. So it would behoove him to not put his address out there. And her situation is like, it's possible somebody could do that, but for him, it's
Okay, there's someone active.
There's somebody who's like looking for you. Like I know, like, I need to find out where you are so I can kill you.
Okay.
So I think that's the difference between her. I don't think anybody is like it'd be different. Like if everywhere she goes, somebody was like trying to rape her. I feel like they should be like, yo, y'all put my address out there. I have a guy who's been trying to rape me for 5 years.
She has a stalker or something.
Yeah, she has a stalker. So I'm gonna have to listen to that story, because I feel like whenever I hear girls say things like that, I have to hear the story, because then it'd be like, well, I saw a guy twice outside and he said hi, and I feel like he was stalking me. So I want to hear the story, because my first instinct is to go, I don't know. So that was we covered the Aaliyah's face, the agreeableness, what defining what power is and overpowering people to some extent. We didn't really get deep into that. We talked about rape dynamics. So what's left to talk about would be why Ben Shapiro is racist, who runs the world, and that's it.
Okay.
What time is it? I mean, how much time we have left? Because I think that I don't think these topics are very long, but I might cut them short about 2:23. So yeah, I'm gonna do the Nick Cannon thing, because we're at 2:23. I'm gonna see if I can get this done by 2.5. I'm going to try and get this done in 2.5 hours. So I don't think this part should be long. I could probably cover both of them, honestly. So as some people may know, Nick Cannon was released from his job. I don't know how long ago it was, but maybe a week or 2 ago. Maybe a week or 2 weeks ago. And it was because he said something that was deemed anti-Semitic, which was that those people are running the world and they have a lot of money and they have a lot of power in the system and things like that. And the reason that people have said that that's anti-Semitic is because that is how the Holocaust happened, or things similar to that, where people use money to demonize and dehumanize those people so that they have a reason to attack them. So what happened is, though, that community, which is the Jewish community, they see anything that comes close to that's anti-Semitic. Now, I actually did not know this was a thing. This is news to me, because I always definitely saw that they were upset when these things come out, and I didn't know why. Now I understand why. I think the problem with firing Nick Cannon is that they were not trying to fix the topic. They weren't trying to educate people on that topic. What they were doing, which is the problem, is that they were instilling fear, because they pretty much said, now anybody that talks about something like this or says something like this will be fired. That doesn't educate somebody, because if he doesn't know the same way I didn't know, then when I get fired, I'm like, what did I say that was wrong? I mean, is this not a true statement? And they go, yes, it is true, or yeah, or no, it's not true, and this is why it is what's the word? Not prejudice. What's the word when somebody says the N-word? This is why they consider it hate speech when you say things like this. Now, the reason I want to bring this up is because this is one of the reasons why I have this podcast and why I'm doing what I'm doing, because I'm tired of people deciding to use black people as the lowest part of the totem pole that holds up everything else. And the only reason that they can do that is because it seems as though we have the least amount of power in the community or in this system. And I don't think it's necessarily about racism. I don't think it's really about, we want black people not to succeed. It's the structure needs to have poor people at the bottom. The structure needs to have slaves and people that do the work for the people at the top. If you know about finances, every financial person will tell you it is about getting amassing a large amount of wealth is about having your money work for you. Now, what they don't tell you when they say that is having your money works for you means having somebody else work for your money. Your money doesn't work for itself. If I invest in Apple, that means that Apple is working for me. That means that people that work for Apple are working for me. That means somebody on this ladder is working for me. So at the end of the day, if I decide to switch out the bottom of the ladder to somebody else, the system still works. But because I'm black, I don't like that we have been the people that have been chosen to uphold the system. I don't like that. And my job, what I want to do is I want to remove that. I want to replace it with somebody else. I don't know who it is, whatever group of people it is. It's not my problem. But I'm tired of it being black people, and the reason why is because situations like this with Nick Cannon. What they did, like I said earlier, was instill fear in everybody that even talks about it. Anybody, any podcast that I saw, all the news, everybody is now afraid to talk about that community because they don't know what the community could do, because they actually do have power. It's anti-Semitic to say it, but there are some Jewish people who have power in the world. So there are white people that have power. There are some black people that have power. There are different people that have power. But when an act like that happens, they make it very known that they have power by doing something like that, because it's unlikely that a white person will come out and say he said this thing. What's a white person example? How often do you hear about somebody getting fired because they called somebody a Native American, or they call somebody a word for Native Americans? And how often does a Native American fire them? A white person might fire you for being racist toward another group, but it's very unlikely that said group itself will fire you for being racist to that group or prejudiced to that group. That rarely ever happens. I rarely hear a situation where a black guy goes, oh, a white person said black people are always late, I'm firing him. And honestly, that would be the equivalent of what happened, because most people don't understand why saying that they have that much power. Most people don't understand why saying Jewish people have power is anti-Semitic, or problematic. But the same thing happens when somebody said that black people are always late. When somebody said that black people act like this or act like that, it has the same repercussions, because now the community and the world sees us as a certain way. And nobody, could you imagine if tomorrow somebody came out, let's say that the CEO of, I think American Express is black, and maybe let's say P. Diddy, if he fired somebody because they said and made a joke that black people are always late, it would seem absurd. It would seem preposterous. Somebody made a joke that black people like watermelon. It would be absurd to fire somebody for that. It is only absurd to think about it now because it does not happen. But that's exactly what happened with that situation. Somebody said, Nick Cannon said that Jewish people have a lot of power. Jay-Z said that same thing. They have a lot of real estate, and they want to sue him for it because they seen that it's not a racial slur, but it's something that people that they feel is can cause them problem going down the line. And if black people fired people and sued them for what we see as a problem, it would be a whole different ballgame. But you don't see stuff like that. So and the reason you don't see anything like that is because we don't have the leverage to do that. Because the people at the top don't care who is at the top with them. They just want to be at the top. So if there's a black trillionaire at the top, they're not going to be like, you know what, I'm not going to do business with him. And even if they did, even if they said they do not want to do business with this black person, could you imagine if Jeff Bezos was black? People may not like Jeff Bezos, but they still gonna have to go through Amazon. Still gonna have to use Amazon. They have to worry about Amazon taking their business out. They still have to worry about what Amazon could do to them. So when they come in the room and talk to him, if he was black, there would be a lot more respect for that conversation, because they don't know what Jeff Bezos could do if he was black. They don't know if he's gonna fire them. They don't know if he'll buy their company. They don't know if he'll steal their wife. They don't know what he might do, but they know something could happen. So let me relax. But right now, because black people don't have that kind of power, people go, well, there are no repercussions for talking about black people, so I'm gonna keep doing it. Until something happens to me for talking about them, I'm gonna keep doing it. So we've kind of started seeing a very small shift where you can't say anything that's mean to anybody, and black people kind of got lumped into that. It's not really like a black thing. It's not really like, oh, you said this, so now that. The N-word has been the thing that across the board everybody can't say. That's across the board. That's the only thing that I feel like we have leverage on, is y'all can't say that word. And when we get more money, which is really what the leverage is and the power, when we get more power and more money, we will have more leverage to make sure that society can be beneficial to us where we live here. So that was what I was talking about with why I believe that, who runs the world. It's people that have the power and the leverage. They run the world. It don't have to be a particular group or race or anything. It's just people that are at the top. And I explained also why we need leverage. Now, Ben Shapiro was racist. Can I make this short? I feel like I could kind of make this. How much time will we at? 2:30? 33?
32.
Okay. So the reason why I said Ben Shapiro was racist is because he falls into those categories of people. And the same thing with Joe Rogan. It's a different kind of racism. White people believe that I'm only racist if I call somebody nigger. That's the only time I'm racist. If I say those words to you, I'm racist. If I say I hate black people, I'm racist. That does not make you racist to us. Okay, so as I was saying, the things that make it racist to us is that okay. The camera died, so I'm trying to remember what I was saying. You don't have to say those things for us to call you racist. There are certain small things and small nuance that make us see you as racist. When somebody says to us, white privilege doesn't exist, that makes me see you as racist. That's though it's those small things. The same way that people say that saying Jewish people have a lot of power is anti-Semitic. You saying that white privilege does not exist, I'm like, you're racist. That makes you racist. Because I was watching this show called Brave New World, right? And here's an example of how white privilege works. There was a scene where, I'll give you the little quick play by how it is. You have one land called the Savage Land. You have another land where all the rich people live at. And one time during this scene, people from the rich land came to an amusement park that was in the Savage Land, right? It's an amusement for them to go and visit that place. So during this trip, while they're there, the girl had like kneeled down to pick up a dead bird. And when she looked up at the guy from the Savage Land, he was looking at her with almost a disgust, because he's like, it's not a joke. It's not an amusement park for you guys to come to where we live and think that this is just a playland or some type of entertainment for you. This is how we live. This is our life. And she waved at him and smiled because she could not understand why he would be upset by her smiling at him. And that's what white privilege is. It's you don't even know that it exists. So the fact when you say that it doesn't exist, that means that you don't know it's a thing, which means that you go throughout your life doing things that other black people will consider as racist or privileged things. So the reason why that scene to me was racist, because not racist, the reason why, because they were both white. The reason why I say white privilege exists and people that say it doesn't exist is racist is because you're ignoring the fact that you are able to benefit from being white. You benefit so much from it, you don't even know it exists. It's almost as saying, like, I think I heard an example of somebody saying, here's an example. If you put a fish in the water and a dog in the water, and then the fish got mad at the dog, or not mad at the dog, the fish was confused as to why the dog was drowning. The fish is like, I don't understand what's wrong with this dog. Why is he flailing around? Why can't he breathe? It's like the dog doesn't, the fish does not know it lives in the water. That water that the fish lives in will be considered privilege. It's in an environment that benefits it. So it does not know what it benefits from until it leaves that environment. So if a white person were to leave the environment of their whiteness benefiting them, they would then understand white privilege. If you took a white person and put them in a place in Africa where everybody looked at them and was like, damn, why your skin so white? Why you act like that? Why you look like that? I don't want to hire you. Why does your hair grow like that? Then they will understand that they had a privilege where they are from because they did not have to be asked these questions. They didn't have to think about being white. White privilege is not having to think about being white or being Jewish or being Italian, whatever else you want to call it. You don't think about it. It doesn't exist. Same thing with the water example. You don't think about the water as a fish. You just live. You just exist in the water until you put somebody in that situation that should not be there and cannot survive there. Then you understand what white privilege is. Now, another scenario, the same scenario, a different example would be if the fish was look at the dog and wave at him and smile at the fish while he's drowning, and if the fish was look at the dog and smile and not understand why he's drowning and laugh, like, oh hey, how's it going? Isn't it nice out here in the water? Isn't it nice and warm? And you see all the other fish out here. The dog is drowning, but the fish is like, yeah man, it's cool out here. That's how I view white privilege. And so Ben Shapiro, on the podcast that he did, I don't know if it was recently or in the past with Joe Rogan, was talking about how black people, one of the solutions for black people is for black communities, or not black communities, for communities that have black people in them that are not doing well, is to add the police, because the police will then clean up the drugs and clean up the violence. And when that happens, businesses will invest into that area, and that will bring in new jobs. And the new jobs that come in will bring in better schooling, and the better schooling come in, that will bring in a better education, and then that will produce a better area. The problem with that is, and this is why I say things like this, like he is racist because he's not understanding that he lives in water. We don't live in water. So when the cops come in the area, does he think that the cops that come are all gonna be the best cops? Does he think that nobody's gonna get killed by these cops? Does he think that all arrests are gonna be justifiable arrests? Probably not. And the problem that I have with him even saying that is he also feels like that one of the biggest problems that we have in the black community, or in most communities, is that we don't have a two-parent household, and that people who don't have a father figure in their life usually have a higher probability of having a bad outcome for their life. However, his solution for fixing the community is to arrest the people in the community and to make sure that they are not committing acts of violence or selling drugs or doing drugs, right? So now you bring those the police officers into the community, right? The guy that was on the street selling drugs for his family has no job anymore. Where does he go to work? Because as soon as you put the police there, the jobs don't come automatically. So now you have a situation where you have people who were making money before don't want to go outside because they can get arrested because you've increased the amount of police there, and now they're at home and they're like, what do I do with my time? There's no job for me to get. I was a felon before. I don't have the education to do it, and there's no education around me for me to actually learn how to get out of the situation. And it's nuances like this that black people see immediately, but white people feel like, oh, it's like a fish telling a dog, breathe. Just breathe, dog. Just inhale the water. That's how you breathe. That's what Ben Shapiro was doing to us when he tells us things like, okay, add more police to an area to fix it, even though black people historically have had a problem dealing with police anyways. So I was able to get through all of that. And how much time we got? I think I'm finished. Whew. I'm starting to sweat. Time check. Time check.
I know I'm trying to.
You keep saying what happened to the cat. I'm like,
2:40.
okay. Can you scroll down? I am doing free consultations. If you have something that you want to talk about, something you don't understand, if you're having problems with your relationship, problems with your family, if you're just overall unhappy, you can DM me at DonivanGray, DonivanGray. All my consultations are free. Melissa's Instagram is AnetaBurn, AnetaBurn. And episode 19, that's a wrap. Bamboo Project out. Probably one of my favorite episodes. I think that was great. I think organization wise, that was an amazing episode. So I might have to continue doing this going forward.